Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. Sorry for the late arrival. Hope you haven't lost anyone. I hope you're all doing the things you love with the people that you love doing them with. It's Friday night, guys. It is game day eve. It's game day eve. It's the best day of the week apart from game day. So it's the second best day of the week. You get excited, or do you? Because just like I saw a video on Twitter earlier of a chimpanzee that was super excited about getting his banana, and he was like hanging over a river. And as he peeled his banana back, the skin back, the banana fell out, and the guy looked absolutely devastated that he lost his banana. And I feel like I lost my banana a bit today, boys, when I found out that Destiny Udogie and Pedro Porro are not available for tomorrow's big day. We're going to talk about how we handle that. We're going to talk about Wolves. We're going to talk a little bit about a few other bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. Guys, before I bring in Johnny and Aaron, and we've also got Danny Kiriakou making his miraculous his comeback, actually, back into the stream. We haven't seen him for a while. He's coming on as well, but he's traditionally, specifically Greek late or Cypriot late. I don't know wherever he's from, that part of the world, and they are always late. But anyway, he'll be here when he's here. Until then, I want to say, before I come to these boys, everyone in the chat, I hope you're all happy and healthy. Can you do me a favor? Please smash the like button for me. You know the rules by now. Take your shoes off, hit the like button, hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hashtag YouTube's shenanigans are afoot. So make sure even if you have hit it that you double check you still are. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Keep the chat flowing. Be nice, respectful, and all that jazz. And then we can get into tonight's show. Johnny, I'll start with you, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. You know, what better time? What a better, most perfect time to lose your two centre backs, wing backs or inverted backs when you're about to play to a team with two of the fastest attackers on the with Pedro Neto and El Nouri and Semedo. You know, only Spurs could do that. But listen, I come in hope. All I know is we were at Wolves, right? And we had a much worse team out than we're going to put out tomorrow. So no excuses. It needs to be 3-point lane tomorrow. That's it. Needs to be.
We're going to figure out how that looks. What's the best formation? What we think is going to take shape.
We always have hope the night before. It's when we wake up and reality strikes as we walk up towards the stadium.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going tomorrow. I know you are, Johnny. Aaron, are you going tomorrow, mate? How are you, buddy, by the way?
You know, I'm all right. I'm tired. Work's been, taken out of me, but I won't be there tomorrow. But is it on TV? Is it on? Is it an early one?
Not on TV.
Well, it will be on TV, yeah. I'm just saying, use my Amazon Fire Stick. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, you can get it. Yeah. You'll be able to find it then. You'll be able to find it. Let's take a little cheeky look-see, guys, at the historical form. I never usually do this stuff, but I feel like I saw this today. The BBC made it quite interesting. I think when I'm going to read this stuff out, I feel like it reads like there's an absolute belter on the cards here. Tottenham will be without Destiny Udogie and Pedro Porro, with the latter set to miss the next couple of weeks. Captain Sonny is likely to make his first start since returning from the Asian Cup, while Cesc and Solomon remain sidelined. Wolves are without forward Mateus Cunha, who sustained a hamstring injury during last week's defeat by Brentford. Hwang Hee-chan is expected to fill in the void left by the Brazilian after recovering from a minor calf problem. Look at this stuff. Here's the detail, right? Not that history is necessarily a guide for future performance, but I think this particular fixture has a little bit of spice to it. Head to head, you wouldn't think this. Wolves have won 3 of the past 4 top-flight meetings, although 2 of those victories have come at Molineux.
Yeah.
They are seeking to compete a league double over Spurs for the 3rd time after doing so in 1953 and 2009. The Lily Whites could lose 3 consecutive games to Wolves for the first time, so we've lost our last 2. As far as Tottenham goes, here's our form going into this game, guys. Spurs have won 5 successive top-flight home games. The home form is back on point. Their total of 9 Premier League home victories this season is bettered only by Liverpool's 10. How do you like that? The fortress is back. The Lily Whites have scored in a club record of 36 consecutive Premier League fixtures since a 1-0 defeat by Wolves last March. It's the second longest scoring run in the division's history after Arsenal's 55 match streak. Blah, blah, I don't care about that. Their only defeat this season in 13 clashes with sides currently in the bottom half of the Premier League table came against Wolves at Molineux in November.
Yeah.
Tottenham's solitary clean sheet in the past 15 league matches came in a 2-0 win at Nottingham Forest. Sonny has been directly involved in 9 goals in the past 8 with 4 goals and 5 assists. However, he hasn't scored in any of his 10 Premier League appearances against Wolves. Right? That means unbelievably kind of relevant, interesting, lots of good, lots of bad, and Wolves seem to mess up our apple cart a little bit. Let's look at Wolves. Wolves are unbeaten in 5 away games in all competitions, winning 3 and drawing 2. They've also scored 8 goals in their last 3 league matches on the road. Unbelievable. Their two most recent Premier League trips to London resulted in a 4-1 victory at Brentford and a 4-2 win at Chelsea. Wolves are vying to win 3 consecutive top-flight fixtures in the capital for the first time since '79, having previously gone 14 without a win there. Gary O'Neill could become the first manager to win at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with 2 different clubs after guiding Bournemouth to a 3-2 victory there last April. I mean, boys, if you're looking for like a little snapshot of statistics that make this game absolutely ding-dong fantastic, I don't think you could find a better matchup. Tottenham are in unbelievable form at home. The last time we didn't score at home was when Wolves came. They've got better form than us. The only team in the bottom half of the table we haven't beaten is them. They're on amazing away form. They're scoring goals galore. We're scoring goals galore. It's shaping up to be an absolute, like a ding-dong derby, Johnny, no?
Yeah, listen, the most shocking news about all of that, really, that really took me by surprise was that Ryan Sessegnon was missing. I had to sit down and take that in. And once I digested that, right, I think, look, the thing is, I actually viewed this game as difficult as the Brighton game. I really did. I think Gary O'Neill's done an unbelievable job. Here he comes, Dragoon's in the building. I viewed this as a really, really difficult game, with or without Cunha. I think Gary O'Neill's done a fantastic job. I really, really do. He's been robbed in a few games by VAR, especially ones against Man United twice, almost, in their games. I think they're going to give us a lot of trouble. I was worried about them even before I found out that Porro and Destiny were missing. And I do feel like Neto versus Davis could be an interesting one. It fills me with dread. I think it's going to be a high... Mind you, Sean, I thought last week's game was going to be a high-scoring 3-2, 4-2 sort of game and got it totally wrong. I don't think I'll be wrong this time. I think there'll be a lot of goals. I really do.
Yeah, well, look, it reads that way, Aaron. I couldn't believe when I saw those stats. I was like, I'm verbose it takes me 45 seconds to ask a question, let alone give an answer. So, I struggle to condense information into short form content, but that little snippet of stats, I thought, told a tale that got me excited. I love going into a game thinking this is going to be a good one. And at Tottenham right now, I never know any game could go either way. But this particular one looks like a fascinating encounter, Aaron. Talk to me, buddy. Talk to me.
So I think you should do the Sky Sports build-up, mate, if I'm honest, because that's going to be better than what we're going to see tomorrow, 110%. But I think it's going to happen? We're going to stink up the place. Wahi Chan's got something for us, and it'll be 1-0 Wolves. That's what I think is going to happen.
Oh no!
I think that's what's going to happen tomorrow. I think Chan's got something for us tomorrow. I think Neto's got something for us tomorrow as well. I can't remember the last time we played really well.
Let's just for those people in the chat that don't know Aaron, haven't seen him for a year or two. You are uber glass half empty generally about Tottenham, aren't you?
No. I'm not. I was raised on the Jermaine Defoe's era, so I'm used to 11th place. That was my so.
Okay, I'm only joking.
I know. But I just got a feeling we just Wolves, man. They just
they're dangerous. They're a dangerous team.
Yeah. Do you know what? Because we've been linked to Neto so much, you just know it's going to be a masterclass. You just know. And the thing is as well, I think Udogie looked like he needed a bit of a rest anyways. The way he was looking.
Yeah.
And also Pedro Porro playing every minute of every game. So I feel like this is a blessing in disguise for him, because it would have been another 90 minutes for him, you know, even though he was limping in the last game and should have done something about that, because obviously there was something wrong with him. But that's a blessing in disguise. But that means Dragusin has to start, doesn't he? We have to see.
We're going
to talk about the lineup in a second. So So in general, though, you're going into the game expecting.
I think it will be
a difficult outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we score early, we lose the game. That's what I
think. if we score early, we lose the game.
If we score early, we lose the game.
Oh, if Wolves score early, we lose the game.
No. If we score early, we lose the game.
Okay. Jesus.
Find out if he's playing, Sean. Let's find out. Let's ask the man, Danny Dragusin. Are you playing tomorrow? Yes or no?
Well, I mean, my flight's booked really early in the morning, so I think we can safely say, I'll be in the team tomorrow. So, but we don't know the position yet. Might be right back, might be centre back. We have to wait and see.
Listen, Danny, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, my man. It's been a hot minute. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing good. How are you guys? You guys all right?
No, we're well. We're good. We're good. Listen, I mean, I might have. I don't know, Danny. Listen, don't take this the wrong way, but I also consider you to be someone who likes to see the weaknesses. So I don't know, Johnny. Maybe there's a lot of pressure on you tonight, mate, to sell the story.
Yeah, I'm told I'm Mr. Negative. I just call it as it is. You know, that's negative.
That's the same for me, Johnny. I get it all the time.
As it is, you know, if it's good, great, and if it's not, I'm going to call it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, 100%. Danny, what's your take on going into the game? Going into the game, when you look at those, you didn't see those stats. I won't read them out again. But
I heard it.
You heard it, yeah. So yeah, essentially, it looks like Tottenham are going into it with ding dong form at home. But we know what Tottenham are at the moment, right? Yeah. We know that you go into every game and you think it doesn't matter who we're playing. There's a chance we're going to win, chance we're going to lose. You could go 2-0 up and you're going to let them back into it. You could go 2-0 down and you're going to let them back into it. And then you've got Wolves, who are their form is lose, draw, win. No, sorry, win, draw, lose over the last 6. But in London and away from home, they're in cracking form. So it sets up for a great day.
They're a good team, right? They always seem to do well against us. I think this season, our worst performance of the season was against Wolves when we lost against them, right? In the last minutes of the game. And that was a game, again, where we didn't have our strongest back four. I think Davis was playing again. I think Emerson was playing both. And Dyer. I think Dyer and Davis both made mistakes in that game as well. Or Dyer and Emerson, like one of the two.
No, Dyer and Davis made the mistake.
Yeah, I think it was. And this is the thing, like I was more confident, obviously, going into it with not thinking that Porro and Udogie are going to be playing, but having them not there tomorrow, it's going to be an interesting game because we probably are going to bring in Dragusin tomorrow, right? I think we will see him tomorrow. I just don't know whether he's going to be the right back or whether he's going to be the centre back. And if, in my opinion, I probably think that he will. Well, you know what? It's hard to say because he might even feel he feels confident going with Emerson at right back. So we don't know.
Well, the training, not that this necessarily gives the game away, because I find it a little bit suspicious that they did the open day training.
Okay.
That everyone could see, and they would deliberately spent 20 minutes showing the high line defense of Emerson and Ben Davies. Now, look, you can read into that and go, well, clearly that's what we're going to do then. So Dragusin's not a right back. Dragusin's coming in and we're not doing a back three. Or you could maybe sit there and hope that, from my perspective at least, that you hope that there is some 4D chess going on, and that actually they've spent the whole week practicing a different version, and they're just showing us. You know,
Sean, you'd like to think so, right? But the thing is, I think it's sometimes it is a bit difficult to tell what Andrew's going to do, because he could change his mind tonight, and then all of a sudden he thinks, you know what, I might go with someone else at right back, or someone else right centre back, or left centre back. He might even go Van der Ven as the left back to try and keep up with Neto, because Neto is rapid, right? He's a workhorse. He will go up and down that wing like no tomorrow.
No guarantees Neto's going to start on the right, though.
Well, that's true, because he's also just as good on the left. But I think whoever Neto is going up against, I think they're going to have a tough day tomorrow. And I think that's the side they're going to target. Whichever side Neto is going to go against, that's where they're going to target. Because they know that now Porro, even when Porro was playing, they probably would still target that side, right? And I reckon he would have played left wing. But now it's like, it could be like a switch up, right? In the game, he might see what the lineup is for Tottenham and think, do you know what? I'm going to switch Neto to the side I think he's going to do better on. So it depends. I mean, I think Neto's going to be the most dangerous player tomorrow because I don't think either one of those fullbacks who we mentioned, Davis or Emerson, I don't think they can cope with someone like Neto. I think one of them will get torn apart tomorrow. I actually think Emerson's probably more competent to defend against someone like Neto than Ben Davis is,
100%,
right?
100%.
So I would rather see him against Emerson, but you never know. Ange might see it and put Neto on one side. He might see Neto on one side. And Ange might think, do you know what? I'm going to flip it and then change it up before the game starts or something like that. We don't know.
You got to make a call,
I think there's three different scenarios here that I've worked out in my head. You know, one of them is completely left field, which you're going to laugh at probably, which would be playing Kulu at inverted right back and playing Emerson Royal at left back, right? With the usual players, right? Then there's
Kulu at right back.
Kulu inverted right back.
I don't think that will happen.
Position. No, but he can definitely play it. The other one is what Danny was saying, which would be playing Mickey van der Ven at left back, having Dragusin left side of centre back, and Romero and Emerson. And the other one is to play Radu in his usual position in the centre of a back three, with Mickey on one side covering Neto and Romero, and for the first time playing a three.
Which you put Ange down as the sort of guy though that
pretty boring.
Kind of
do you know what? I'd be shocked if he goes for a back three. I'd think
if he does anything strange.
He doesn't do that. He's like the criticism of him is that he's stubborn, right? And look, it's not me saying it. It's people that know.
No, it is what it is, right? Yeah.
Right. I think what he's going to do is play Emerson Royal at right back and play Ben Davies at left back because it's the most obvious, most natural. Yeah. But I don't personally think I really want to see Dragusin. If Dragusin can't get any game time, if Dragusin can't get any game time tomorrow when he's played right back, then that to me tells me that Dragusin is literally just a backup to Romero, and that's it.
Do you know, Sean? I actually worry about that because if he doesn't get any chances to even start a game this season, is he going to already start?
He would have got more minutes by now playing for Bayern Munich. Fact.
Yeah, probably would have. Yeah, ahead of Eric Dyer.
Over Eric.
Good old Eric.
Listen, rah Dragusin, right? Rah Dragusin. Listen, I got to tell you, in the last game, Lamina absolutely bossed us, right? I could not believe how many tackles he was getting in after the ball had gone, little elbows, nudges, and the referee just let him walk around that park without doing a thing. And we didn't boss that game. We were winning that game, but we hardly had a shot on target, right, in that game. It was awful. And when we did make those changes...
Well, at Molineux,
I don't think Ange... Yeah. I don't think Ange knew what to do in that game because nothing.
We had such a depleted team. Brennan Johnson was blowing chunks. I've spoken about this 100 times.
Well, we were on that
there.
side.
Yeah, we were there that day, weren't we, Johnny? It was
he's chudding, right? He couldn't get his breath back. But you can't say that. Okay, he's up.
No, we scored too early. We scored too early in that game, man. I believe.
No, but look,
Aaron, this is your new conspiracy theory, isn't it? We score early, we lose.
We score early, it's a stink fest.
But listen, look, he didn't do anything, and then the changes he made absolutely cost us. We just lost. Yeah. We were never playing well, but when those changes came, Sarabia came on and scored that fantastic goal.
Yeah, very good goal.
But we need to shut down Lamina.
Who did we have right back that day? It wasn't Porro, was it? It was Porro. Porro was right back.
Porro.
Emerson. He had Eric Dyer and Ben Davies inside, right?
Eric Von Dyer. But the thing is, the midfield, I feel that if we play tomorrow with Basuma Saar, and
Hang
Madison.
on. Sorry. That's the next segment. So before we get to the
Mate.
midfield, yeah. Sorry. I just want to be able to slice this and dice this in a kind of segmented. So let's sticking at the defense for the time being. What would you like to see as the back four tomorrow?
I'd like to
factoring in just quickly.
Honesty,
factoring in that we don't know when Neto's going to start, right? Danny touched on it that if Neto plays on the right, then you might have a better chance playing someone else on the left than Ben Davies, right? But if Neto if you make that choice, and Gary O'Neill's gone a different way and put Neto on the left, then you suddenly got like a fish out of water on our left.
I'm doing Mickey van der Ven. I'm doing Mickey van der Ven on the left. I think Emerson Royal can handle him much better than Ben Davies. I think he's a smarter defensive.
You got Emerson. You want Emerson Royal at left back?
No, I'm saying if he's going to go and he's not going to change anything there, I would rather see Mickey van der Ven at left back, right? And Emerson Royal at right back, Dragusin at left-sided centre back, and Romero.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I would rather see that than that, because
I'd like to see that. That's interesting.
He's got the pace. He's got the pace to get forward or the pace to cover. He doesn't need to be playing as much as of an inverted to get forward as much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can be a little bit lopsided. You know, we got the option to make substitutions, don't forget, to change the game. I just think that with Wang, he's pacey. You got Neto's pacey. You got Semedo and El Nouri all got pace. And Sarabia's got pace. So, you know, I think this was the one game you did not want to. I mean, if we were playing Palace this week,
I don't care about. I don't care
about. There's nothing to fear from pace. You'll be fine. But this is one of the strongest counter-attacking teams out there at the moment for pace. So that would be it for me. Mickey
so Dragusin, Romero, Van der Ven, and Emerson is your four.
Exactly what Mertens got there.
But you'd play Van der Ven at left back.
I play Van der Ven, unless Dragusin's comfortable at playing right back. I don't know, but I personally would play Emerson at right back, Romero and Dragusin, and Mickey van der Ven. We can always swap it around. Or you can go to a back three. They on the pitch, it could look like that, but in reality, it could be a back three with Emerson tucked in the middle. You know, you don't know. It's got to be flexible, the system.
Yeah.
But I don't. I'm with you, Sean. I would be absolutely gobsmacked if he actually mixed it up for once.
When he hasn't ever surprised anybody with his lineup, really, has he? No. He's always gone with what you expect. We spend all week long talking about options and
there was one game. I can't remember which game it was. There was one game that he did it, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay." Oh, do you know what it was? I think it was the game when he. No, I think it was the game where he finally played Kulu as a number 10. Like, no one expected it. I think it was the game when he first started Kulu as the number 10. That was the game where I was like, oh, it's kind of, because I remember thinking to myself and speaking to others saying he's finally doing what the fans have been calling for, which is to try Kulu in the number 10 role. So I think that was one of the games where I felt he actually did something a little bit different. But yeah, I just think Wolves as an opponent, right? They've always been a tough opposition for us, home or away, in the last 5 years or so. So I even with Udogie and Porro, I still think it would have been a very, again, like similar to the last game, right? A tight game. I think in the last game, I actually don't think we played that well, to be honest with you. Like for me, I was in the Amsterdam Spurs pub, and a lot of the people in the pub were kind of chatting amongst themselves a lot of the time because the game was
ignoring the game.
It was like they were watching the game, but at the same time chatting, right? But the problem is, it was kind of like there wasn't really. I know it was like end to end to an extent, but there wasn't much happening with the actual possession or with the actual shots. Like I can't remember clear shots that we had because we had 16 shots or something. I can't remember 16 shots at all. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a similar game, a very tight game. I think. So I forgot. I know I've been on a stream with you a long time ago. I forgot your name, mate. What's your name? Aaron.
Aaron, that's it. Sorry, Aaron. Man.
Oh my days, brother! You chat to me
been a long time.
What the hell is going on, man?
It's been a long time. But like Aaron was saying, he's actually spot on a bit. When we actually score a goal first, we just seem to completely change like our the way we play. Like we just become a different team, and like we just let the opposition come at us, and it's like, come on, this is the moment you like take it forward and like go and score the second goal. I can't remember a last time we actually scored a second goal. The last time we did was when we were 1-0 down, and then we went 3-1 up in the space of 7 minutes against
Bournemouth.
Yeah,
Annie,
Bournemouth,
I'm super glad you said it, because when Aaron pointed it out, I was like, that's a positive negative or a negative positive. Like, he's saying something that's negative on paper, but actually it's a really positive and spot on point. But I'm at the point right now where if I agree with anything like that, I just get pelters in the comments. I get unbelievable.
You know what, Sean?
Unbelievable DMs.
Sean,
Listen,
you know
Aaron,
me,
you
man.
are spot on, mate. Scoring early for Tottenham has been a boon. Has been a
What
boon
happened
for
to
us.
we never stop? What happened to we never stop?
We stop as soon as we can.
We never stop until we score a goal. He didn't finish his sentence.
I think when we played Wolves,
Well, I think
Wolves,
Go on,
when we played Wolves and we scored early, everybody just stood still for 90 minutes. After that, everyone just stood still. It turned into the worst game of football I think I'd ever seen. As soon as we scored, as soon as we saw it was literally worse.
Yeah.
Because it was not like we sieged it. It was literally still open. It was weird. It was an open game, but we were sitting back and it was open. It was weird. But there was another game this season where we scored early, and then it was an absolute stink fest for the rest of the game. I can't remember what it was.
No, but even if we don't score early, I was saying this on an Arsenal show last night with lead judges. I was like, Tottenham for me at the moment have this this kind of propensity to I don't know what it is, right? Not to get off the topic, but I feel like people were analysing Arsenal at the start of the season, myself included. I was the biggest proponent of analysing Arsenal, saying they're not the same team as they were last year. They're not as good. And then smarter people than me,
I thought they were
saying, what's that?
I thought they were better, only from the point of view they were more balanced, a little bit more pragmatic. But that balance and the thought process in their game, I thought made them more balanced, because at times last season they were frenetic. They were almost manic.
100 mile an hour stuff, right?
Yeah. I think now it's
they sort of blew chunks towards the end of the season. Manchester City have the skill set, the experience, and the talent to be able to go not at 100 miles an hour, but keep the ball at 75. Like it's like they're in cruise control. And I feel like Tottenham at the moment, sometimes, to a degree, when we're at our best, we have this thing where we're on the motorway and you've got 5-6 gears to choose from, but we're in third gear going 75 miles an hour, but the revs are at like 8,000 rev. We're in the red zone. And then we sort of, peter out, and because you can't go for that long at that sort of intensity. Arsenal are now getting into this kind of second mode of theirs since they had their international winter break, and they've been brilliant for the last 4 games. And I feel like it was too simplistic to sit there and say Arsenal are now, with the benefit of hindsight. I look back at the time, I was saying Arsenal just aren't as good as they were last season. Last season was the anomaly. But I think maybe now Arteta had a little bit of a kind of 4D chess game plan to try and get the job done in the first half without going a gung ho. And they've maintained that consistency, but with also kind of sustaining some stamina. Tottenham
and not getting injuries, Sean.
Yeah, obviously injuries are the kind of variable that you can't predict necessarily, but that certainly has helped them. But Tottenham, to me, not that we're talking about kind of next season tonight, but if we play the way we did in the first 10 games for 38 games, and you've actually got another 15 in Europe and everything else, then Tottenham are not going to be able to do it unless you've got brilliant, unbelievable depth and you get lucky with injuries. However, I still think, getting back to the point, that Tottenham even now play this kind of rhythm football where you have momentum but no cadence, where you do the first 15 minutes, you'll come out of the traps hot, and you might get an early goal, to Aaron's point. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But then either way, you back off for the rest of the first half. You come out of the trap second half super hot for 15 minutes, and then you end up sitting back again until the 80th, 85th. And if you're still in the game, then you have a real crack for the last 5-10 into injury time. That's not the ideal way to set up for a football team. You want to have cadence. For those of you that might not know why I keep saying the word cadence, it's a very specific.
Great word.
Yeah, it's like cycling, right? If you're like a Tour de France cyclist, if you're someone who gets out of his seat and pedals at 100 miles an hour and then tries to coast until the bike slows down, and then you speed again, like doing that, and then you coast, you're going to ultimately blow your chunks versus someone that picks that kind of that sweet spot and just keeps that pedal turning over at the same thing. That energy conservation relative to the speed. Cadence is super important over a season and in a game. And I don't think Tottenham have figured out the right cadence.
Yeah, it's like the right. Yeah, you're right. It's like the right flow or rhythm, isn't it? In a respect, in simpler terms, how you explain it. Because it's like we seem to just do this every single game at the moment. That's why I've been listening when I work. I listen to some of the podcasts and I hear some of the fans, different fans, right? And one other thing I keep hearing from opposition fans, some Tottenham fans as well, is that we're playing good football. But I honestly do not believe we are playing good football at all. I think what Andrew's been able to produce in a short space of time with the players that he's got in his first season, I think it's very good. But I think there's a lot of room to grow in this team, right? I think in games we have very small periods, right? We have moments like we might have like a patch of play where for 10 minutes we're playing really good, we're on the offensive, and then it just kind of just stops, and then the other team just is completely. Even though we might still have the possession, the other team still looks a lot more threatening than we do, right? Yeah. Like, for example, in that Brighton game, the best football I saw of that match was that last move. That was by far the best football.
It's about the only thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. But we're lucky that we're able to produce that moment that actually got us the 3 points. Because if we didn't produce that, obviously, it would have been a really bad game, in my opinion, right? So I think Ange, look, from what I've seen, right, I believe that Ange knows exactly what he needs to make this team tick. I think he knows that he's in a process, and he knows that he's still quite a lot of players away from what he wants, right? I also believe like someone like Johnson, right? Like when you were saying he's blowing steam after 20 minutes. Now, Sean is a similar opinion to me. I didn't want Johnson in the beginning, and I think I've watched him from the moment he started in the Premier League for Nottingham Forest, and I've never seen a moment from Johnson ever in a Nottingham Forest shirt or a Tottenham shirt that makes me think, oh, do you know what? He's got something, you know. He's got this something that
Danny, I think he's a good player, but for me, my question mark was always about whether he fits what we're trying to do. Like, there's horses for courses. You know, do you want a striker that, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right? Just perfect example for me. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the sort of player that was absolutely perfect for what Manchester United needed of him, which was he sat on the bench for 70 minutes and he read the game. Brilliantly intelligent, could understand, where the loopholes were in other people's, the vulnerabilities in other people's teams, come on and impact. But did he ever start for United? No, not necessarily because he was just always but he wasn't like his value was reading the game in the game and then coming on and affecting the change.
You know what, Sean? I think that's what I mean. Look, when Johnson came on against Brighton, his all-round game was poor, man. It was terrible. Like,
you can't say that. What are you talking about?
I mean, yeah, no,
Danny, you say that.
Do you know what, Johnny? Do you know what? I'm going to support another club now because I say what I see, right?
If you can't see what Andrew's doing,
look at my phone. My phone was bombarded. You're a disgrace. He scored the winning goal.
Johnny,
2 minutes before that, he lost the ball. And Ansu Fati missed an open goal, right?
I know.
He missed an open goal. He's not going to any of the top four clubs, right? If he wasn't coming to Spurs, he's coming to no one.
This is what I said, right? I said Johnson does not get in any of the top 6 or 7 teams ahead of who they've got on their right wing. Not at all. But I still believe that Johnson was never bought as a first-team player. I think he's been forced into it this season a bit more than maybe Tottenham would have wanted because of the injuries. And I'm just saying that because I'm being like I'm holistically viewing the situation, right?
But you also acknowledge that he's got like
got great pace.
I think his value is not his fault, first and foremost.
It's not.
Right? But he's brought in. I personally don't think he fits the system. I think he's a person whose best utility is his pace, and increasingly we're not going to see much ability to use that. However, that doesn't mean that he can't learn, can't adapt, and can't become a better player. All the system.
also, Sean,
you can have the same. Two things can be right at the same time, right? You can say, I back the guy. I want him to do better. I think he will become a better player for Tottenham and add value in the future. But at the same time, in isolation, his performances need to be critiqued in the moment. And his performances in the moment, more often than not, demonstrate signs of a lack of stamina, a lack of fitness, a lack of footballing IQ. Yeah. And ultimately, the output that he's delivering is he's being put on the end of brilliant passes or crosses or whatever else from other people.
Yeah. But people don't look at it enough, yeah? But there's only one thing here that people don't look at enough. He leaves Pedro Porro, he leaves him out to dry every single...
You can't say that, Paul.
No, but the thing is, you go on Twitter, you go on Twitter and all these places and they'll be like, Pedro can't defend. This is why I don't think he's good enough. But it's like, his mate is just jogging back. And it's 2 against 1 every single time. It's every single time. If Kulusevski's there, then Kulusevski... He does. I know he's the most frustrating footballer we have ever seen, Kulusevski, but he actually helps Pedro Porro. He actually helps him. Brendan Johnson, when he loses the ball, he is jogging and jogging and jogging and jogging. You can't play the ball over the top to him. He's a pace merchant where
if you're seeing away from him, camera. If you're seeing that on camera, Aaron, imagine what me and Johnny were seeing in off camera.
This Sean, Sean, this is what I'm saying, right? The last game I went to was the I think it was the Aston Villa game, right? And this is when I said to them, my thought process of Johnson was like, he's got no football intelligence, because there was a moment where Son had the ball and there's open space and Johnson is standing there on the right wing, right? And Son's waiting for that run and he's standing there and you're in the stadium, right? You can see it and you're like, just move, get into the position. And he doesn't move and the attack breaks down completely, right? So for me, I think Johnson I think as an impact player, I think he's not bad. He's okay, right? He's not great. He's okay. I think he's helped in certain moments this season, but we have to I know that we have to give him more time and stuff like that, but I'm still of the opinion that he's not going to be good enough for Spurs to be a first team player, right? That's my opinion. And
okay. That's a fine opinion to have. But you also have to leave wiggle room to be wrong. You have to be open-minded.
No, of course. Sean, if I'm wrong, I'm honestly, I'll be so happy to be wrong, because it means for me
we've
got to play. Yeah, because it means for all of us fans, we're actually seeing someone who can produce something to make us happy to watch him, right?
Nothing better than being wrong about an opinion.
No,
and your opinion is based in Tottenham.
Only young Danny.
Yeah, I know.
He's only young kid.
Don't count for Van der Ven.
Forget about Van der Ven and Destiny and little baby Papa, right?
Yeah, I know.
He's only a baby. Yeah,
I know. But that's the thing with Johnson, right? I really do hope he does get better. But you can see, I think, in the last couple of games, what I've seen from him is, I know I haven't seen much in terms of when he's on the ball. And I just want to say one thing as well with Johnson. It's an absolute myth about him being fast. I think with Johnson, if you actually watch him, right, and you watch him when there's no... No, on the ball he's not fast at all, right?
Off the ball he's fast.
The ball he's fast. When he's got open space to burn into, he can run, right? But as soon as he gets on the ball, it's like his pace is gone. He can't beat his first man at all. And this is a whole different problem as well,
right?
He won't push it past his man and run onto it. He never goes past anyone.
Not at all.
I saw Lewis Dunk catch him. I saw Lewis Dunk catch him after the ball was put over the top.
Yeah.
I saw Lewis Dunk catch him.
Aaron,
what is that, bruv?
This is why, Rob. This is why,
guys. Just give me 2 seconds. Let me just first and foremost welcome in a new member into the community. Rakdos Madness. I think I hope I haven't butchered your name. I do appreciate your Rakdos Madness. Do appreciate your support, my man. I haven't seen you before, but really do appreciate your the support of the channel. If anyone else wants to support the channel, you know what happens on the Spurs Talk Show. We get limited ads basically every time we start talking. So your memberships and super chats are awesome, but I don't ask for any of it. It's be horribly rude too, but that you can find all that stuff if you want to. Spurs GCTV, who is a member of the channel, is also donating a couple of quid, saying should be at 300 likes, folks. Listen, 377 people in the house. Smash the
Friday
like
night
button
as well. Come on, man. Look at this good content that people are bringing you. So you need to hit that like button.
Really appreciate it if you could hit the like button. That's all, and subscribe. Also, I need you to get across to Johnny Johnny H3232 on Twitter, and to Danny. What's your Twitter name?
Danny Kiriakou.
Danny Kiriakou on Twitter, and Akilla. Is it Akilla?
Oh my! So you're not a Marvel guy, are you? It's the Black Panther's name, but with an A instead of a T. That's literally what it is. I know you're not a Marvel guy. I understand. You're not a Marvel.
I get
guy.
it.
Not a Marvel guy. No.
You're not
Okay.
a Marvel guy.
What was it? A chiller?
Yeah, that's basically it. A challenge.
Okay. I'm gonna get those up and put them in the chat in a second.
Yes.
But guys, smash the subscribe. Get over to Twitter. I'm gonna put these links up in the chat in a second and get going. I want to move on. Thank you very much for the super chat, Spurs GCTV, and thank you very much for the membership, Rakdos Madness. And listen, I do want to get up. We're kind of jumping around because we've done the defense, right? So just to finish up the defense, are we all in agreement then that we would like to see Romero, Van der Ven in any particular formation? We'd like to see Romero, Van der Ven, Dragusin, and Emerson is the four we'd like to see in an ideal world.
Whatever combination you want.
Whatever combination of that. So Ben Davies is the fifth choice of the four. Of the five. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Before we move to midfield, because we've been talking.
Goalkeeper, Sean.
Actually,
hang on.
Hang on a second. Let's actually discuss that whilst we're on it.
I'm being serious.
Fraser Forster has had a 2-month absence.
What?
Yeah, he ended up kicking.
I
don't know who he kicked, but
what the?
Oh, that's funny.
Can you imagine if Tottenham get into a proper if we win tomorrow, we beat Palace, everything goes brilliantly well, and then as we walk into those final 4 games and we're suddenly back in the actual title race, Vicario gets a red card and we have to bring in like Brandon Austin.
Oh, that'd be funny.
What wouldn't that just be typically Spursy?
Oh yeah,
100%. Typically Spursy.
Yeah, 100%. 1,000,000%.
Is he guaranteed to be on the bench, Brandon Austin?
No, it could be him, or it could be the other one, or it could be the kid. Who's the Irish kid? Keeley.
What's name's? He's gone out, isn't he? Keeley's out on loan, isn't he? At
Barnet?
Is he at Barnet?
Might be.
Is he at Barnet, or is it Gunter? Gunter's left.
Gunter can't be. Listen.
He's only about 17.
On that basis, I don't want. You have to, I know it's an insurance policy, but when you've lost your insurance policy to your who is the insurance policy to the insurance policy? In the trade, it's called reinsurance. Who is the reinsurer of the insurer? And I don't know who that is. And I think it's really worrying. If there was a scenario where we play a 50-yard halfway line offside trap tomorrow, or against Palace, or against any of the next games, and they break it, and what's his name? And Vicario comes out and times it badly, like he could have done against Chelsea.
Yeah, you're manifesting it, Sean. Okay,
I'll wait for it.
You're manifesting it. You're manifesting it. You know, because we're gonna get all our players back, but the goalkeeper's gonna get injured. So,
you just know
he's gonna make a mistake, isn't he?
Listen, I was already worried about the tree coming in as deputy anyway.
It's not good. He can catch at corners, though. He catches corners.
Yeah, he can catch a corner, and he's not bad from long distance. But don't ask him to get down on the ground too quick.
Yeah,
Alfie Whiteman.
That's worrying.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, we're not going to talk into any more existence. We're gonna hope that nothing comes of that. Quickly, in a coma, big up in a coma for the support, my man. Member for 5 months. Those best Spurs channels with lots of.
Is that watching this program? Is that watching this show in a coma? You came up with that one, or?
There's lots of flip flops. A few of them. We call it flexibility of thought flops.
That's what it is. Gymnastics of the mind. Good stuff.
Right, what we're going to do, we're going to skip the midfield conversation. We're going to finish with that. But we've been talking about Brennan Johnson. I've got some quotes here from Ange Postecoglou's press conference, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Mm-hmm. And John Brennan, we've been talking about him. Yeah, really good. Again, Chris Davies has done a lot of work with the front half guys, with Meso, and a lot of our work is around that, getting our wingers or our players into goal-scoring positions. Again, it's the way I've set my teams up for a very long time, and he's one that has understood that. It's different from what he has done, and it's not easy. Trying to get that timing right when you just arrive, having a good technique, and he has great technique under pressure. He showed that last week and showed it the last couple of times. It becomes really difficult to stop when you get the synergy when you get that synergy between our attacking players.
Yeah.
So having a goal last week of winger to winger is good because they get rewarded for things we speak about and understand how important it is. And hopefully that keeps them looking for more growth. Nothing in any way from Ange there to criticize, critique, nothing about learn, like more, all just about there's a bigger picture here, and Brennan is the guy, one of the guys that's learning and adapting. Johnny, talk to me.
Well, look, for me, what's really encouraging about all of this is I don't feel there's been the synergy. There's been no real flow to our attack all season, really, in essence. I mean, maybe apart from the Burnley game and the Newcastle game, where we've played for 90 minutes and, you know, we look magnificent. But it hasn't really flowed. And for him to be talking that we're nowhere near where he wants to be, which we're not in an attacking format, I don't think we flowed really well at all. It'd be interesting to see now Maddison's back and, you know, we got the midfield to control the ball, that we should see more fluidity. I really were looking forward to seeing a on-tune Richarlison with Sonny and whoever else is out on that on the right-hand side. But I don't see us flowing yet. I really don't. And if you look at the Celtic games, you know, there's crosses in from the flanks, getting onto the edge of the box, getting on the tap-ins. They're not like 25-yard bangs. They're like balls that have been crossed. And look at Kygo's goals. You know, they're not the sort of goals that, you know, a lot of strikers are used to. They're more like Gary Lineker's, you know, all in the box type of goals. So I think it's encouraging that we're working on it. Listen, we're 7 months into the project, and that's where, you know, I'll back off of Johnson. You know, people say I've got it in for him. I'm just calling what I see. I can't help it. If I see it, I'm going to say it, right? You know, doesn't mean that I want him to fail or I'm on his back. You know, he's paid 47 million for it. You know, get over it. There are bigger burdens to bear from many people out in the street with bigger problems than worrying about Brendan Johnson's, you know, price tag to worry about it. Get over it.
Or his sensitivities to criticism, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're here to speak our opinions. You can't always necessarily be positive. But Aaron, Ange is full of praise for the guy.
So I'm quite negative when it comes to Johnson online. I'm not going to lie to you. The thing is, I always critique his football though. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like he needs to get angry. Like, I don't know what else to explain it.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if someone needs to wind him up in the tunnel when he's like, I've had enough. And then he goes.
He's a nice guy though. That's it.
Because
he made the best shake your hand.
Yeah, it's like if there's like an aggression scale, he's got to be like 0. Like,
yeah. Can you imagine if James Maddison like leant over his shoulder when he had his phone out and he saw a picture of his mum, and he went, "Hello, Brennan's mum."
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he would be like, "Do you want a number?" Like, what are you doing there, James? What are you doing?
Yeah, but I don't know. He's I feel like we'll see a different side to Brendan.
Brenda.
No, Brenda.
At the moment, it's Brenda. Come on.
But there's no aggression to the game. What really winds me up, yeah, when people say, you know, like, we're going in too hard on him, you know, he's young and all that stuff. But if he bottles every 50-50, like, it's not. There's more to the game than, you know, tap-ins at their back post. He just seems really, really.
But look, at the same time,
light. But it is
at
important.
the same time, I got to like just point this out. At the same time, I was on a show last night, and I know they play different positions, and I know they offer different things. But I had to have a debate about whether or not Declan Rice is the player of the season in the Premier League and the signing of the season in the Premier League. And I obviously dismissed both, right? But the Arsenal fans were like, well, he is. Look what he's done. And they utilized the 8 goal contributions that he's had as part of the narrative. And I was like, well, look, 8 goal contributions isn't that great. Brennan Johnson's got 8 goal contributions. And no one's talking about that. For me, I was making out Vicario. I think that value for money, you got to put Vicario in the conversation. 100%. But anyway, 7 or 8 goal contributions out of on a per minute played. he's getting a GA every 2 games, which is a really good return for your first half of a season or whatever in a team. And I think that Brennan Johnson, like, I don't think he does a huge amount in games at times. It really frustrates me. But at the end of the day, he's there when you need it, in the right position, in the right moment, at the right time. He puts it to the back. Someone puts it to the back post, and he knows where he's supposed to be. And I think that kind of is what Ange is talking about here. I'm sorry, I've got the wrong part up. He's talking about like learning what he's asked of him, and Ange ball requires winger to winger involvement, and I just think, go on, Danny, go on, mate.
I was going to say, like what Johnny was saying. I was going to touch on.
He needs a bit more credit than maybe I'm giving him, and I'm willing to offer it.
Maybe, right? We look, first of all, I think for me, I see him as he was never brought in for first team football. I do think that he was brought in to be an Ange project. I think he sees a lot of characteristics in him that Ange likes, like in terms of his willingness to want to learn and listening to actually what the manager wants you to do. And I think that's a big part of Ange liking him, and also his like attributes. Maybe he needs to improve his fitness and his stamina, because we can all see that's not good. But I also think that I think he's probably, if I'm honest, he was probably forced into more first team action than he was maybe supposed to be given during maybe the plan they had for him, because of the injuries that we've had. And I also think
have we had that many injuries on the right hand side? Because it feels to me like the 2 options we've had most of the season are Brennan Johnson and Decky, yet neither of them seem to kind of grab the ball.
But that's the thing though, Sean. I think it's because of the inconsistencies between the 2 players. I think Johnson has had a couple of injuries that kept him out for a few games at a time or something like that. And at the beginning, his fitness wasn't that great, and I know it's not that great now. But the thing is, if you look at how he's played in the last few matches, you're bang on the money about where you said what I've seen anyway. I've seen him get into the box a little bit more, right at the back post a little bit more, and he's arriving. So what Ange is alluding to, I think I do see
his
that.
Output's great. But
the problem is it's his rest of the game. Like it's like he's non-existent. It's like he's not there. It's like there's one less player, and that's a big problem. And that's why I think at the moment Ange definitely sees him as the player, like the person to bring on, because he can make an impact, right? He's got some characteristics that Ange likes in him as an impact player. I think he's more of an impact player this season than say Kulu has been, right? So
Danny, sorry, can I just interject there, Danny? You're 100% right, but how can you call yourself an impact player when you come on for 26 minutes and I'm watching him jogging back?
I know. That's
like,
I know. It's
when
disgusting.
he scored that goal, how could he actually come out in a press conference and say, "I was tired"? You only.
I know. When I heard that, I was laughing my head off. Yeah, I know.
I want to see him walk up to row 71, say, right in the south stand, and I want to put that heart monitor on and see whether he's puffing hard. No, but
it's true.
Listen, I want him to be a success. I want to put that out there.
Yeah,
but,
we all do.
I mean, what is that? How can you be jogging? You've all said it. We've all seen it with our own eyes. It's not a figment of our imagination.
But do you know what, Johnny? I also think, right, that there's a thing with Spurs fans, what I've seen on social media, right, which really annoys me like to the max, is when I see Spurs fans, they look at him and they're like, oh, he's been so good and all this and that. And I'm like honestly, what you're doing is you're using your delusional, my favorite word, delusional Spurs, right? Your Spurs sentimentality to look at a player, and you, because he plays for Spurs, he's automatically good, or he's automatically like he's doing better than what he actually is, because they can't detract from what they're actually seeing in front of them. They can't actually analyze his game and analyze him as a player and actually say, do you know what? His all-round game has actually been really poor, but he's been in moments. He's actually produced certain moments for us, which has actually got us some points, right? Or helped towards getting some points. So I think that's the difference. And I think there's a lot of fans who can't see that. That's the problem. And if you say he's been playing bad, oh, you're negative, go support another club. It's so stupid, man. Yeah. I've seen it this week, even on my Twitter, and I hardly go on Twitter these days.
Mate, honestly, Danny, I feel like I've escaped for 2 years. I've been in the Tottenham community. I've generally escaped having vitriol thrown at me because I try to be balanced. I try to be as balanced as I possibly can.
I bet you get it more now, Sean.
Last 2 weeks. I'm like, wow. Okay, now I know what this game is
Man,
really about.
as soon as you call him Brenda and you mention his mummy on the phone, it all
It
goes.
is what it is. It is what it is. Listen, I did say to you guys it was only going to be a sharp hour, but we're almost an hour in, and we've only got through 5 of the players. If you guys got a bit more time to carry on, I do want to I want to move on. So
my dinner's getting cold, but it's all right.
To finish off the forward line, I think we know that it's going to be Sonny or Richarlison, or at least one of those. Both of those two guys are going to be here. I want to move on to the other consideration.
Sean, before you do move on, sorry to interrupt you. Just one more thing, right, with Johnson. With the whole situation, right? I no, hold on. Wait, and one more thing, right? It's just a general vision of the club or what we think we see, right? For me, right, my take now. Obviously, he costs a lot of money, right? For me, if Tottenham don't go and target another right winger, which to me it looks like they are going to target a better quality right winger from the names we've seen linked, right? As long as Tottenham are doing that to looking to constantly improve, I've got no problem with Spurs spending £50 million on a player who they believe is going to be good for the squad, maybe good in the future, as long as it doesn't deteriorate the fact that we need to improve the first team, right? So what I don't want to see in the summer, for example, is say Tottenham go and activate 15 million euros for Werner, right? And then they're like, oh no, we don't have enough money to go and get a Nico Williams or something like that. If I see that kind of crap, or a Neto. If I see that kind of crap, then I'm going to be nothing.
The problem is, Danny, right? The problem is that what we're factoring in. First of all, we spend all of our time talking amongst fans. We also spend all of our time reacting to news articles that are clickbaits anyway. The people are just sitting there, bored out of their mind, just writing things, trying to get their own clicks and their own money through their own advertising.
Just listen
ultimately,
to that, man.
Pedro Neto, most of us would love Pedro Neto. And the fact that 100 different articles have written that Tottenham are linked to Pedro Neto means that we all think that we're going to get Pedro Neto. But we've got to remember
I think we will.
You've got to remember that Dejan Kulusevski only signed permanently for us 8 months ago. Brennan Johnson only signed permanently with us 7 months ago. Like, we are cooked on the right-hand side for the next 2-3 years. But we wouldn't have bought them unless we thought that they were going to be here. And Tottenham are not the sort of people that reverse their decisions that frequently when you sign people on 4-year deals. So unless Pedro Neto can play on the left, or unless they've got intentions to move Decky centrally, or unless they've got intentions to do something else with Brennan Johnson, there isn't that much space for Pedro Neto because he predominantly plays off the right.
Yeah, you say that. Go on, how many more wingers can you get? We got more wingers than Nando's. It's like, we can't get rid of them.
He had that brewing.
But they're a bit like undercooked wings, man. They're a bit like undercooked wings, right? They're not really cooking. They're not really
marinate. We need to
they're not marinated yet. That's the problem.
Some of them have no sauce.
We're getting salmonella from our wingers.
I mean,
some of them have no sauce.
Some of them are raw as raw as anything.
Man, these are undercooked. We need some spicy. We need some spicy stuff.
We do. We need a bit of Nico Williams sprinkling on that right hand side. That's what we need.
57, man. Philip Hines.
Yeah, there we go. Listen. I think we all feel the same. We want the best for Brennan Johnson. I don't mind if he's starting tomorrow. I expect one of him or Decky to start. On the left-hand side, though, you've got the option now for Sonny to come in. Do you put Sonny in the middle? Do you put Richarlison back out? That's for a conversation in a second. But I do want to get your thoughts from Timo here. Timo's quotes, guys, this week. The fun has completely returned. I've changed a lot as a person. I've become much happier. After 5 games, you can say that the transfer has paid off, but the season is still long. I want to build on the initial performances. It has already been worthwhile for the 5 games just playing our football in our stadium. Boost Gumps. Sometimes things don't click between individuals or even between tactics and players anymore. I can't complain about a few people in Leipzig. The situation just wasn't for me. It's no longer brought me the joy I had felt for a long time. In Leipzig, it just didn't fit in the end. He's talking about a team that he still is owned by the way.
He's twerking for Spurs, man. He's twerking for... Now, he knows.
He is twerking for Spurs. He's talking about his current employers that have just loaned him out for a couple of months. That's why it was the right step for all parties involved that I go to Tottenham. The fact that things are working out so well here and I am immediately feeling at home wasn't something one would have thought at the beginning. In a different part of the quote, I haven't got it in front of me, but for what it's worth, he also said, when Tottenham first started getting in touch, I ignored them. For a while. Like he left us on red, guys. He left us
You know
on
what I
red.
mean?
Eventually, he said, but eventually, there was too much conversation, too much communication. Tottenham were really interested, and I was paying attention, and then things were exciting. And then that's when the rest of the thing came from. Listen, I get goosebumps. I really like him. I think he's a geek. I think he's a nerd. I think he's brilliant. I think you're going to get so many memes from him.
Football brain.
He's a football brain. I don't like the fact that we're playing him on the left because he can't cross with his left foot. Like, there's things that you can't do and things you can do. He can do a lot.
Where would you play him then, Sean? Where would you play him?
I think you play him on the right, or you play him through the middle, or you put him on the bench. I think he offers value. But I don't necessarily think that if you play him on the left and ask him to go, you can either play him on the left and ask him to invert, and then I think you need then the left back to be the width, right? But I don't think we saw against Brighton. He tried to cross it 7-8 times. I think he had a 10% cross conversion. It was awful.
Even when he was cutting in, Sean, his shots were just like terrible. They were really poor.
He needs one goal. He needs one goal. If he gets a goal soon for Tottenham,
but you know what he does. You know what he does.
I hope so.
Intelligence. When we get the players back, he will create space. He will run at players. He ain't going to check back, right? Yeah. And you know what? I'd rather have three Timo Werners and some loose change, right, than one Brennan Johnson as it currently stands. Right?
I agree.
Wrong. I think for 15 million, Sean, it's a no-brainer because when we go into Europe, you need experience.
100%.
And what I see quite often in our games, we don't have experienced people game managing us through those final stages of the game. And
Johnny, he's talking like it's done.
Goosebumps?
He's talking. That was so funny when he said goosebumps. What's the
goosebumps?
That brother, you know that he's like Werner is the most whipped guy though.
Boys, hang on, really, just like Johnny, just to finish the point, mate. Just sorry, I'll come to you next.
That's right.
Johnny, he's talking about Leipzig like it's part of his past. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
No, you're not. And I actually said I thought it was a fantastic deal right from the off. 15 million. He's 27. People think he's 31 or 32 or something. He's 27 years of age. Ange Ball is perfect for Werner, right? Yeah. It's Timo time, right? And I think, as the season goes on, I think he will get better. I think he's going to be an asset for us. I mean, when you look at it, even if he doesn't start, to have him, don't forget, he's got incredible pace. To have him coming on from the bench is also.
I think he's far. You know what? I'd love to see him in a foot race against Van der Ven. I think Timo Werner's top speed in that when he was doing that bomb down against whoever it was a few weeks ago. Like, I think he's ridiculous.
I wanted to see him versus Walker, which was an interesting matchup at times. But look, I think again the fan base. You see, I'm a contradiction here because here I am going on about Brennan Johnson's not quite right at the moment, and then here I am praising Timo Werner, who's not been brilliant, right? But I can see that his football brain and is there for 15 million. I'm willing to take a risk for 15 million. That is in keeping with all the other signings that we made.
Do you know what though?
Danny, sorry, just quickly before you come in, mate. I know I'll come to you in a second. I know Aaron wanted to say something a minute ago.
I don't know. I feel like we should be aiming higher than Werner. I just don't know. It feels too Levy. He just feels too Levy. Like, he's cheap. He's low risk, but he's technically high risk on the pitch because if he misses and then they got the other end and score, technically then he's high risk. I don't know, but he's also very like when they go into training and they're like, "What's on your phone? What's the last thing you've watched?" He's very like, "I've been watching Gossip Girl," and then the next thing's like, "Oh,
he's nerdy, he's geeky, right?"
It's like
proper nerd.
Like quite a funny
he had a
guy,
picture of his dog, didn't he?
Yeah. Dogs was the last one. Yeah. But I just don't know. I feel like we should be aiming a bit. I like Werner. He seems like a nice guy, but his misses could be the reason why we don't get fourth place. That's what I'm saying.
I get. You know what, Aaron? Right? Like for me,
she get no schnitzels out.
That's what I thought he meant, like misses, and then he said, "Yeah, I got what you meant."
I thought you meant. You said you meant his misses is in like him missing the ball.
No, missing the ball. Yeah, missing the ball.
I thought you meant when he was like he's watching his TV program.
Double meaning, Sean. Double meaning.
There's a double meaning. Him watching Notebook is the reason why. No.
Do you know, like,
Well, Danny.
look, I'll be honest. I didn't want Werner, right? I think for me, like, I would have rather. I get what Aaron's saying. Like, I would have rather wanted someone who's better, but given the circumstances, like, I'm not stupid. I understand the club. I understand how they work, right? To bring in him, it's like it's like a scales, right? It's either nothing on one hand or Werner on the other hand. So you'd rather have him in the squad than not have him, right? Because at the time we needed bodies. We had a lot of injuries. We needed someone else. And if you look at what I think he can contribute as a squad player for 15 million euros, I think that's a no-brainer. And so I said that on Twitter the other day, and someone was like, "What? But I thought you don't like him." I said, "That's not the point. If you're going to play European football, you need a deep squad of players you can rotate all the time. Otherwise, you're going to get so much more injuries, and it's going to cause you even more problems in the Premier League. So you need to have players who are a decent level and who play the way that the manager wants them to play in the same style, and also they're cheap, right? But again, I caveat that with
Danny,
saying
the problem is, mate, is that listen, I agree with you on a value for money, on a bang for buck level.
Yeah,
you have value there, and I agree with you as well, Johnny. Right, and I've got a couple of super chats one super chat that will definitely agree. So I'll bring.
Can just add one thing, Sean, just before you go there. I spoke to some Chelsea fans. I've got a lot of friends of Chelsea fans when we signed him, and I expected a lot of piss taking. Right, you signed him. None of them slagged him off. They all said he works his nuts off, right?
Yeah.
He might not have scored a lot of goals, but Chelsea fans really liked him. He worked his nuts off, right?
But it's important. It's important that we figure that out. Like, for me, 15 million. I agree with you, mate. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I agree with you about. I love him. I fall like you should never fall in love with a lone player, but I have fallen in love with his geekiness, and I think he's a good value player. I like his personality, but if you're playing a three at the top, you need the two wide men to contribute.
Yeah,
you need the output. And Brennan Johnson at the moment isn't contributing the input, but is contributing the output. Timo Werner, time will tell, but I don't necessarily. I think that there's this. He even said it after the game, after one of the home games, when he said boost gumps. He said the coach has told me you don't need to necessarily just worry about the goals, as in like. It's almost like an acceptance, a tolerance of the fact that he is a scaredy cat with his confidence when it comes to finishing. And that is not acceptable. I think you have to figure out a way to get the guy into the mode where when he does break through, like he did against Manchester United, he had that breakthrough against United, and it was a fait like we all knew. We knew he broke through, he wasn't scoring. And that to me is something you have to figure out. And if you can't figure it out, I don't know if you can. Because even though 15 million quid is cheap, Danny, the bottleneck then becomes squad places. You can't have 45 people in your squad. You only get 25. Even if he's cheap, should he be the solution when he's taking up a squad place if you know he's not going to contribute on the output? And that to me, unless you can figure out the output, then that to me is a problem.
Well, I was just going to say, if I was taking Spurs off the back of their shirts and I'm saying, right, we're facing this club tomorrow and their front line are Timo Werner, Brennan Johnson and Richarlison, that doesn't put the fear of God into me, right? If I want to win the title or I want to be dominant in Europe, at the moment, that doesn't put the fear of God into me. If they're part of a squad, but they're not the headline act, I'm fine with that. I just feel like
would you be happy honestly if you knew you're going to pay 15 million pound for Timo Werner and he's going to run miles and miles for you and he's going to contribute and he'll pop up with assists and he's going to create space and he's going to be a threat, but the opposition don't know this, but you know this, that he's not going to score more than 2 goals next season. Would you still want him?
I don't think he's going to score as little as that. I think he's a very, very good squad player for 15 million. But I would rather have, if I was starting up front with Eze or Elise, Richarlison and said other, I would feel a lot more of a threat that those
Johnny, I need to see him score at least 4 goals between now and the end of the season
Yeah.
for me to be comfortable about him.
I was
agree.
going to say he needs to have a
agree.
minimum of 4 to 5 goals.
4
for
goals
me.
and another 3 or 4 assists. He needs to get double-digit output, but not all assists.
What's he
Some
got?
of them
2
need to be
assists so
goals.
far, is it? 2 assists?
3.
2
3
assists. Yeah, I think it's 2, but one of them should have been his.
Well,
but
it should have been.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough.
Technically 3, but maybe 2, whatever. But for me, I need to see 10 GA, but I don't want them all to be A. I need a couple of G's in there for me to get excited about the prospect.
I agree. The only thing I see it as is the fact that, like, if we are targeting another winger, right? If we're going to go for, hypothetically, if we're going to go for a Neto or Rafinha, that's going to set you back at least £60 million, right? So Tottenham are not going to go and spend another like 40-50 million pounds on another winger of that level. So we have to kind of compromise, right? If we're going to go for like in an ideal situation, you'd love like a Rafinha and a Neto, right? It's dreamland. It's never happening at Spurs. But if we can get someone like a Neto and then you sign Werner as well, I think that's great business. I think that is improving the squad depth, which is what I've been asking for a long time. And Werner is better than having no Werner. I think he's better out of the bunch of wingers we've got. Other than Sonny, I think he's probably one of the better ones. I think Kulu is a great player at times, but he's so inconsistent, right? Yeah. And that's the problem with him. But he offers.
Oh, there you go. There's a quick question for you. If you had to keep one next season, Kulu or Werner?
Kulu.
Johnny?
I think he contributes more.
Well, we've already paid for him, so it's got to be Kulu.
No, I mean, just hypothetically, like if you had
send him back and use the money. Well, no,
No, because do you know why I say Kulu? Because I say Kulu because I think he's going to eventually be the rotation with Maddison, and he'll also be that player who's very versatile, right? But he'll be able to play like different positions, and I think that's what Ange will use him for. I think if there's certain scenarios where he needs to play left wing, he'll play him left wing. But I reckon that if Maddison is always going to be injured at some point in the season, right? So I think you'll probably see him in that central attacking midfield role, maybe the right, maybe the left. I think you'll see him like switch around a lot.
Danny K, right? Listen, man, all season, right? I've been going on crying out. Put Kulu in the middle, right? They put him in the middle. He hasn't grabbed it with both hands.
No, he hasn't.
His opportunity, right? The opportunity's come, right? He's bigged himself up as that's my position, right? I don't see any sign that when he was put in that position that he was going to grab it and make it his own. He was still one-footed, right? All I know is like when Christian Eriksen left Tottenham Hotspur, Harry Kane spent that summer practicing being that guy who was dropping deep, spraying the ball, which he never did before when Eriksen was there because he never needed to do it. You've got to add to your game. I expect him at his age to be out in that training ground.
How old is Kulu though? 24, 23?
23. He's still the other foot. No, but Dan, I get
that.
I just want to see development, right?
No, so do I. Johnny, I do too. No, I do too.
Back Kulu, man.
But again, the thing is with Kulu, right? Kulu is he's inconsistent. He's our most inconsistent player, right? Sometimes he has games.
I don't know about that. That's a strong. Every single player in Tottenham is inconsistent, apart from Van der Ven, Vicario, Madison.
Okay, but what I mean, Sean, right? What I mean is
everyone else has got a little edge of inconsistency.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
What I mean is, right, with Kulu, one game you could see him and you're like effing hell, like that's the player you want to see week in, week out, right?
Yeah,
but the player that we saw in the first 6 months at Spurs, right? That's the player you sometimes see.
That's because of chemistry. I said this 1,000 times that he came in. Who did he have at right back?
Doherty, wasn't it?
Matt Doherty. What did Matt Doherty do? What did Matt Doherty do that everybody else since then hasn't done with him? Right? He just played triangles. He got up there. He passed the ball to
them two together was so good together.
Carry on the run, turn, receive it, and then it was just bang. It was easy. Yeah. It was simple. Matt Doherty was terrible for Tottenham, apart from in that little period between Decky coming in and Matty Cash smashing him up.
Yeah. Spot on. Absolute spot on.
And then as soon as Doherty got injured,
Yeah.
Decky lost his partner, and then
Yeah.
who came in? Who came in? Was it Emerson? Was it Emerson
Emerson.
immediately, or was
Emerson,
it
yeah.
someone else? I think it was someone else
Emerson.
first. Was it Emerson straight
No,
away?
it was
wasn't it?
Emerson. Yeah, Emerson.
Yeah, it was, and it was awful. Decky for Decky to work on the right, Decky needs a chemistry, just like the brilliant chemistry that has been forged early doors between Destiny Udogie and Timo Werner. They have got amazing chemistry. Both of the assists that Timo Werner has got, or all three of them, if you count the deflection, was with Udogie knocking back the 1-2s and the triangles, and the goal that Udogie scored was via Timo Werner with the triangles. Like, it's kept the right back, the inverted right back, and the wing forwards require chemistry. And Destiny Udogie and Timo Werner have forged it early. Decky needs a new chemistry, and I don't think he's forged it with Pedro Porro.
No, I don't think so either.
I think he's still attacking Pedro for him.
Yeah, he's a very
he's better, but I think he's
definitely better
because Doherty, he kind of created a space, didn't he? Because he'd overlap now and again, but he created a weird gap for then Kulu to be able to do his left curl. So,
but how would he be right? Let's be honest, guys. Right, Angie's system, this inverted, compressed system that leaves acres and acres of space. If you're out wide, you're going to love playing Spurs. Because you're not going to be pushed for space. You're going to have all the space you want, right?
Yeah.
There you go, right? Because, when Johnson's playing, he
you know what, Johnny? That's why you need a 6, right? This idea of Tottenham have, and this is where, again, I know that there's nobody that knows Ange Ball better than Ange, right? But when Ange is asked about Lucas Bergvall, is he a 6 or is he an 8 or is he a 10? And Ange says, I want to get away from this 6 and 8 nonsense. He's a midfielder.
Flexible.
Yeah. But that's fine. I think we've got more 8s than Clapham High Street on a Friday night, right? I think it's we've got so many of them. We need the 6. I said it all last summer. A monster 6, monster 6, right? I think you need to go
Paulinho
because of the problem that you're talking about, Johnny. Where the space is all down the fullbacks.
Yeah.
If you have brilliant centre backs that can come out, they have the confidence to be able to do the splits a little bit and come and fill that kind of that middle ground between the natural centre back spot and the width. But you know that you're not leaving too much space in the middle because at the moment Tottenham require like a Højbjerg to come deep to fill that role.
That's why.
I don't think Sar's the right guy because you need Sar to cover the ground in the midfield.
Sar covers the ground,
he covers the ground.
Yeah, but you need him to cover the ground.
You need Sean.
I think you need to be able to sit in deep. And as much as I say it, as much as Calvin Phillips isn't the guy because he's been terrible for a long time, and at West Ham he's been shocking, and we didn't know what he was doing at Man City. There's a reason for that. But you need someone that used to be what Calvin Phillips was at Leeds 4 years ago, who could just sit deep, play that quarterback role, and maintain.
Who's that goal? Who's the guy you're talking about?
Don't you think?
Who's the guy that you think that is, though, Sean? Who's that guy?
Paulinho.
Other than Paulinho.
Paulinho's
a £100 million player.
Forget about Paulinho. Onana from
80
Everton.
million,
Onana from
Onana's
Everton.
a good player.
Zubimendi, Mikel Merino. There's 2 of them at Real Sociedad. They're greedy. They've got 2 of them at Sociedad. They don't need them both. Let's have one of them,
Sean.
Right?
If we,
do you know
what? Right, we've actually got one who can play that kind of role, and maybe not to that level, but who can actually do just a good job. No, I think if we see the Bissouma that we saw in the first 10 games,
thank you.
That Bissouma can play the number 6. Right, that fluidity.
I said it before. I said it before the season started. He is not the monster 6 that we need.
He's not. He's not.
He mudded me because he adapted so quickly to it. I was like, I was getting more mud about that than I was about anything I've ever had mud in my life for. But and I loved it. I was like, this is one of those things.
You love a mud bath, don't you, Sean?
No, you love being wrong when it helps.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
100%.
I love it.
Can I just say though?
You can mud me all you want if I'm wrong. I don't care if it helps.
I'm going to say, guys, that the best we've looked, the most in control we've been in our game playing Ange Ball is when Bissouma played with his young son, Papa Sarr, right? They've got this bond, like you look up to him,
it's
like
a
my
chemistry,
dad, right? There's a chemistry between the 2 of them. Those 2 are the only
Johnny,
2 that can
it's not
play
just the
that
2
and cover that gap in between
Johnny,
and dovetail. And
Johnny.
at the same, just let me land it with it.
Go on.
And just
Let me
the
land.
one thing that they do. Sorry, I'll pick that up. Shit. Sorry.
No,
hate that
I
word.
haven't heard a let me land, bro.
kids.
For about
Let me
3
land.
months.
Sean
Danny,
knows.
welcome back. Welcome
Sean
back,
knows.
Danny.
I hate let me land. It's the most.
land.
Sorry, man.
Oh my
Sorry.
God.
I don't know where
Go.
that came from.
No, Johnny. It's
me land, bro.
Let me land, bro.
Danny
Let me cook.
Hamptons, we've never had a let me land situation, but Danny
Yellow
comes back
card.
in the let me.
Yellow card. Sorry.
Let me land.
Yellow card. He dips. The thing is, he offers pass protection. Not only do those two cover the ground, they offer pass protection for James Maddison, right? Because when James Madison's exposed and playing with only Sarr and a skip, he's too exposed. They go right through him. I do think that this is the midfield partnership I desperately need to see on Saturday, because otherwise we're going to get overrun. Lamina will destroy us in the middle of the park.
Agree. Do you know what? Do you know what, Johnny? Like for me, like it's not just Basuma and Sarr, right? I think when you see Maddison join to that three in that midfield, there's a chemistry. It's like they kind of understand when to run, when not to run. If one of them's forward, like how many times did we see Basuma get quite high up the pitch, right? And he's interactive in the attacking final third, right?
Correct.
And
bringing it.
Yeah, but then when he's doing that, James Maddison is dropping back and Sarr is covering as well. So it's like there's a really good chemistry between the three of them, right? They just know when to go, when not to go when they're playing together. And Bentancur, as good as he is, I think the last couple of games, you can see that he needs time to kind of get back into it, because when he came back the second time, he started all right, and then he just kind of has kind of gone a bit like that, right? And he hasn't in the last 3 games, he's just been not the Bentancur we all love and know, right? And I think for me, I want to,
boys. I got
before
some
you
news
do,
on him in a
Sean,
second.
like, all right, before you do, I want to see. I do want to see the midfield three that we started the beginning of the season with, which is Basuma, Sarr, and Madison against Wolves. I really
think we're
want.
all in agreement. Are we all in agreement with that one?
Yeah, that's the three.
We are. We are. 100% we are. But I don't want to. So I've got more to say. I think we've got a couple of more bits to talk about. But I've skipped over a few super chats. Let me just catch up for a second. First and foremost, Mark Cookie with the member for 2 months. Big up, lads. Great show as always. Appreciate you, my man. Really do. Thank you very much. Lee Smithy Smith. Good to see you, my man.
Big up,
lads. Shawnee, are you about tomorrow? I am, mate. I'll be at the game. I will see. I'll be in the High Road early tomorrow because I'm meeting up with Danny SpursTalkShow, and who's going to introduce me to Steve Ball, the Wolves legend, and I'm going to try and capture a little bit of footage with him. So I'm looking forward to seeing Danny and hopefully Steve as well, and everyone else that he's with. So I'll see you there, Lee. See you then. A user is saying he agrees with Johnny. This is about the Werner conversation. An excellent acquisition, and for 15 million euros is a bargain, especially the experience for Europe. Werner will come good. I 100% agree, as long as I just need to see a couple of goals. I need to see that monkey off his back. If he doesn't score a goal in this next 6, like the second half of the season, I think that becomes an issue. Becomes more.
I think he will get.
You don't want to hang up.
You
need to almost hypnotize the guy out of the fear. If it's become a thing, and I think it might have become a thing.
Score one goal against Arsenal to win it, and suddenly
he's a cult hero. Cult hero.
Go to Stamford Bridge.
Oh, that would be even better. Even better. That would be that'd be
singing
icing on the
dance floor. No problem.
That's all you need. That's all you need. Appreciate you. And Tim Man 007, really appreciate the super chat. All of you. Thank you, Tim Man, saying go and put the money down for Rafinha and Neto and take us to the next level. We will see a different team. Show some ambition. Our long-suffering fans deserve it. Tim Man, listen, I agree that we deserve it as a fan base. Rafinha and Neto, they're both right-sided players. Neto can play anywhere, but Rafinha's definitely better on the right. Like I said earlier, we've just signed Kulu, and we've already just signed Brennan Johnson. I think we're all working on the levels of journalism that are out there. I think Tottenham's fans need to think more around the realistic options, which are probably left-sided dominant. I would imagine we're going to go for a left-sided player. If at all.
Do we not need a left back to cover for Destiny? Just out of curiosity, you know.
No, Johnny, in an ideal situation, right?
Aaron, how you said
we should have had Reggie.
I know Johnny has been twerking for Regulon for a long time. He has been twerking for Regulon for ages.
Aaron, do you fancy Reguilon coming back?
No, because obviously, for some reason he's out the door as soon as Andrew's there. So,
but would you like him though? Do you think Ange cast his doubts about him too soon?
Yeah, I feel because he looked all right for Man United. He looks all right for Brentford. Like, how is that not good enough to be a backup?
He's a good player, mate. He's a really good player. I don't understand it.
What's happened? Because he was out the door straight away.
I would rather him than what we've got in Davis and Sessegnon, right? As much as Johnny, but Aaron, Johnny knows how much I don't want Reguilon because I think he's a terrible player. But
really,
in terms of I think he's terrible, right? Because Real
Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Man United.
Yeah, I know, but Johnny, it's what I've seen of him at Tottenham in a Tottenham shirt. He had a first
him in the system though, and neither has Ange, and that's what pisses me off.
But that's the thing, Sean. I think maybe in this system, he's definitely better than what the options we have. And 100%. If they were to if we're gonna do it in the Levy way, right, that will save you money on going out and buying another left back, right? Because we all agree we need another left back. Because if Udoji's injured, who have we got? We haven't got anyone.
Ryan Sess, mate.
Do you know what? He's getting sold in the summer. He's getting 100%. He's gone in the summer. I think he's gone. In the summer.
I don't think he will be.
To McDonald's, man. That's the only place he's going.
He ain't going anywhere. He's the first for life.
Did you say Ndombele's gone in the summer?
No, Sessegnon. I think Sessegnon's gone.
He's not. He'll be a
Who's going to buy Sessegnon? Geezer can't. The Geezer
isn't he on 1 year? Sean,
on the injury table.
Yeah, but he's on 1 year. 1 year's left on his contract.
Right? No one's going to take him.
No, he's going on a 1 year catering contract to McDonald's, man. That's where he needs to go. Honestly, when he came back, he looked like the only way to get him to run, I reckon, is to put mini hamburgers down the side of the.
He came back for 30 minutes, and he got injured again.
And in that 30 minutes, you saw everything you needed to see about the guy.
Yeah, he got injured going to the canteen.
He couldn't pass the ball. He looked like he put on 10 pounds. Like I don't know what I could not believe what I saw. And if I'm entirely honest, I couldn't believe that Ange put him on the pitch
in front of instead of Reguilon, bro. Instead of Reguilon.
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, if Tottenham don't look to get rid of him.
Galatasaray is our feeder club.
Yeah, it's
a different type of feed. A different type of feed.
Bayern Munich. He's going Bayern Munich, Sessegnon. What are you talking about? He's going Bayern Munich.
Do you know what, Aaron? Yeah, honestly, I personally think that it is one of the worst club decisions if they don't look to try and get rid of him in the summer. They've got to just flog him. Just literally give him away for free. Get him off the books. Get him out of the club. Another place in the squad. My dream left back, right, who I would love to sign, would be Andy Robertson at Fulham. I
love him as well, but I think
number one signing.
You know who I listen? I'm a massive fan of Robinson. Massive fan. I think he's brilliant.
Robinson,
he has got a heart issue, and that might be a problem, especially with Tottenham's medics. But if not him, would you go for there's a few chalky left backs. I like Nori from Wolves.
I like Nori as well. I really
like Rico Henry from Brentford. I'll take. I know.
Rico's a top player, and I'll tell you who else is very good.
He's very good
boy on the other side is also injured.
Who?
Oh, Brentford.
Reguilon.
No. The other boy. He was out in Italy. Signed from Italy. He's an English boy. Went out to Italy.
Pinnock.
Came back.
Oh no! Wait. Who's talking about?
Wait, who did he go to?
He went to Brentford. He went to Italy and then came back to Brentford. Hang on.
Aaron Hickey, the Scottish guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Hickey.
Yeah.
But isn't he a right back? I thought he's a right back.
Yeah.
He's not. He's a left back.
We need cover, right? Rico Henry's been out the whole season, man. I don't know what state he's going to be in when he comes back, but really good signing. He was really good signing. Listen, the boy at Liverpool has been unbelievable.
Conor Bradley.
You know. Yeah, I mean, he was unbelievable at Bolton. He's come straight from the Championship, playing in Liverpool, grabbed his chance. You see, that's what I love about football. You know, Mainu's come in, right? Injuries, he's come in. No one's taken his place away. Miley.
Mainu's going to be 100%.
Miley's come in. he only playing because of racked with injuries, come out of nowhere. Now he's established himself. You've got to grab your moment. And that's why I'm disappointed with Kulu.
It doesn't happen at Spurs.
It doesn't. It just
Doesn't
hasn't
happen. You don't get
happened.
it. You never see a random kid in the starting
Not
lineup.
since Gareth Bale, right? When Benu Esuakoto got injured, right? And he came in that time and then he established himself. And after 23 games of being on the losing side, it all changed. And, you know, that you need the moment. But as you rightly say, Aaron, no one has come in to that Spurs side.
Not one.
You know, not a Gill, not anyone.
Yeah, we haven't got a lot of ball horn takers. Johnny, let me round off. We've been talking because I know we spoke a little bit about the forward, a little bit about the midfield. I want to just kind of segment this if I can. Let's finish up at the forward end quickly. We talked about Brennan Johnson and Kulu and certainly Timo Werner. Tomorrow, for the purposes of the conversation, for the front three, you got two last people we haven't spoken about in Sonny, who's back, and we got Richarlison, who's in the best form. You can't drop either of them. How do you shoehorn those two into a front three? Who stays and who are the other people that get kicked out? You have to drop one or two of, I'm guessing, unless you want to do a different version, but I'm guessing you have to drop to the bench two of Werner, Johnson, and Kulu. Who are they? How do you fit your front three tomorrow?
So it's going to be Son, R9, and Kulusevski. That'll be the front
Son,
three.
R9, and Kulusevski.
Yes, and it'll be left, Son in the left, Richarlison in the middle, and then you got Kulu on the right. That will be. And then Werner, you probably see him in then maybe because he takes Sonny off quite a lot, doesn't he? So it'll be Sonny for Werner. You'll see that, and you'll see Kulu for Johnson, I reckon, and then Richarlison plays the 90 minutes most games because there's no Valise anymore, is there? So that's what I think it will be. I think it'll be that. Literally, will be at 60th minute or 70, depending on how it's going. You'll see Son come off for Werner. That's what you'll see. That'll be the first change. If it's all going well, no madness in the middle. You know, SARS blowing.
You said it's all going well. You've already predicted we go 1-0 up, and then it's bad news.
And then it's a stink fest. So yeah, so Dragushin will come on. He'll be the first sub on.
Yeah.
But that's what I think it'll be. We'll see Son, Richarlison, and
I'd like to mix it up personally.
Johnny,
I'd like to see Sonny on the left, Richarlison through the middle, and I'd like to see Timo dancing on the right-hand side.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Only because, to cross the ball, to be on the right foot, but also because I think he might need cover for Emerson down that right-hand side. They can always swap over. Those three can always swap over if necessary. Son can come over to the other side. You know, if necessary, Richie can play off of the left-hand side, and he can go through the middle. They can swap over. He's not going to do that because, as we all know, I really would like to see him mix it up, but it's going to be the usual, isn't it? It's going to be Solly, Richie, and Kulu.
Yeah.
Absolutely no changes whatsoever, but I would like to see something different. Gary O'Neill's a very smart coach, and I think Thomas Frank did one on him. I think Sean Dyche did one on our manager. And
David Moyes did one on us.
Yeah,
Unai Emery did one on us.
Dick Emery
Pep Guardiola did one on us. We've had some do-overs at the moment. Listen, I think, right, again, for those Australians that are waking up and listening to this,
good day.
I know what's going to happen. Right? I know you. It's okay. It's okay. And for those people that are from the UK that also are of the, you it's Ange Ball and that's it. It's nothing to discuss here, nothing to see here. I get it, but I think that there is a level, right? Like if you're you give the example, Johnny, of always like a boxer, a world championship boxer that's used to playing orthodox, used to fighting orthodox, and then he comes up against a southpaw. And he's like, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to change. I'm just going to do my fight. And that's it. I get it. It's a brilliant analogy. I also think that there's analogies in the UFC where you see people that come up and they've smashed people. They bulldoze people at lower levels. And eventually they come up to the UFC and they go up against a really good fighter. And they go, I've got 3 minutes of stamina in me. But, well, you know what? You're in a 15-minute fight now. And they go, I'm going to bulldoze you and play. And fighters that have been there and done it, no, I'm just going to fuck. I'm sorry, I was about to spare. Back to demonetize myself.
You just did it. Coming from you, and I'm the one who swears the most.
Yeah,
Daddy
apologies.
K's
You
been
guys have been brilliant so
unbelievable
far with that.
tonight, and he's been
But they
clean as a
just sit there
whistle.
and kind of go, I'm going to fend you. I'm going to fend you off, right? And until you exhaust yourself. And I feel like if you have done that at the lower levels, I did it at rugby, right? When I was playing rugby as a kid, I got to a decent level, a really good standard. Every level you jump up, you play against people that are better, that when you have a little trick of the trade that you can do against people that aren't that good, suddenly those things don't work anymore. You have to adapt. And I just wonder whether or not Gary O'Neill is a masterful tactician. And I really hope that tomorrow we have something other than just we're going to play our own version. Because if we do it, Gary O'Neill might surprise us. Danny, I'm going to come back to you because you were off screen. Johnny finished up and Aaron's already said his front three. What's your front three? I've got to go. I'm busting for a wee. What's your front three for tomorrow? And then I want you to then go into also your midfield three. And then by the time I come back, we'll be discussing the final part of the show, which is the midfield three.
Don't forget to wash your hands, please.
I will, 100%.
I think
I do it my way, mate. I never washed my hands when I was a kid, and I've come up now. I'm a Premier League, hand washer.
Don't be touching that mic without them.
I think for me, I think like what we're gonna see tomorrow is on the weekend. We're gonna see the same front three we all expect: Werner, Son, and probably I think Son, Werner, and Richarlison, Son, and Kulu. I think Son will start tomorrow. But one of the questions I wanted to ask people was the fact that, is it just me, or do you feel that sometimes when we play Richarlison as the striker, there's something we're missing from him? I know he's been in good form lately, but do you not feel that we seem to play a different type of football when Son is that number 9, because he's a lot quicker. He can play between the lines. He's got more. He can run onto it a lot better than Richarlison can. Yeah. I think he's just generally a better player than Richarlison. What I've seen lately of Richarlison, as much as he's definitely got better and he's in good form, personally, I still think Richarlison is an average footballer. I don't think he's great, and I love what I'm seeing from him. I hope it continues. I hope he keeps growing in confidence and keeps getting better. Maybe he will prove me wrong, but just what I see, and I just still feel that there's something missing from his game that I don't see when I see Son play. But again, Son, when he's played as a number 9 this season, when we've seen him play as a number 9, he's been a little bit inconsistent, right? But I think I would like to see what he would do on the left wing. I think
is that Richie you're talking about? You're talking about
the thing
Richie?
is, I don't. Yeah, what I'm saying is, like what I've seen so far, I think there's something we lack when Richie is playing as that number 9. And I know he scored the goals for us recently, and he's in good form. But there's just, I feel that when we were playing with Son as the number 9, and we had Solomon as the left winger in a few of the games in that 10-game period, I think we were playing better football there. There's more fluidity in the front line, and I don't know whether it's to do with Richarlison's limitations or whatever it is, but for me, I just still think there's something missing from Richarlison for me wanting him to be our number 9. And I know he's gonna play as the number 9 tomorrow on the weekend, because he's obviously in good form, and you don't want to drop a player who's in good form, right? But I just still feel it's something there with Richarlison that
do you know what it is?
Doesn't give me confidence.
You know what it is? Because we're still, I don't want to say his name, Big HK, I'm just going to say that. But it's seeing a big man up front, and he's just not at the level that we've been used to for 10 years. So it always looks like they're going to be missing something. The difference is when Sonny's up front he plays completely different. So
is that the difference?
Can I say something?
Or is it that if you put a really good striker in the 9 role, he's going to score 15 goals?
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is, Sean? Right? The way Johnny explained it earlier on is exactly the way that Ange wants to play football. The Gary Lineker type of goal scoring, right? In the box. You can clearly see that. If you can't see that, then you don't know football. You don't analyze football, right? He wants to play. He wants to get the wingers to the byline, cut it back, like FIFA style, right? You know, like in the old FIFA games when you used to go on FIFA, you go all the way in, you pass it, and you score, and everyone's like, "Oh, you scored a pass back, You know them ones, right? It's like them ones. And what I feel with Son is he's a lot more. Like in certain situations I've seen Richarlison in, If that is Son, he's putting that in the back of the net because he's a far more clinical finisher. And I think that's why we haven't been scoring as many goals maybe as we were at the beginning of the season. And I think that if we do, I think there's going to be a point where we're going to see that transition at some point in the season. It might be really late on, but I reckon at some point there's going to be a switch over where Richarlison's going to come off that number 9, Sonny's going to go back into it, and then we're going to see how Ange feels about the situation and how he does. But I also think
like you said, Jenna, you know, they're going to start switching up. But that's what it was like when Johnson first started. You know, when he was against Arsenal, he was everywhere. He wasn't just on the side. He was literally, he had a load of chances against Arsenal in the 9. Yeah. If you remember that. And that's why I think that's why I think Ange is going to have it just how you said it, where they're going to be everyone's going to be everywhere.
Can I just say though, Dan? Sorry, Aaron, just to interrupt.
Right.
You know what you were saying before. According to Athletics, right, Richarlison is the king of the 1-2 touch finish, right? All but one of his non-headed 31 shots this season have been with his first or second touch. This is the highest proportion of any EPL striker.
Let's reverse engineer
9
that,
goals.
Johnny.
Hang on a second. 9 goals in just 8 games.
Bring the stats,
with those
Sean.
9 coming from just 23 shots, 7 with the first or second touch.
Johnny,
right?
let's reverse engineer that. What does that really mean? Is that if he takes more than 2 touches,
he's not scoring.
He doesn't score.
He's
a
not
goal.
scoring. Yeah, that's the problem.
Right. Well, I'll give you another stat.
No, hold on. Let's finish.
I'll give you another stat.
Hey, I haven't quite finished reverse engineering the first bit.
Go on.
So what we're saying is that we have a striker who is a wonderful finisher when the chances come. What I would love to see is whether or not, if you had someone who had a bit more of an all-round footballing ability, what would happen? I think that this system affords him lots of chances, and he has taken them very well. And listen, you cannot in any way discredit what he's done. I think I've always stood by this. People think I hate Richarlison as a Tottenham player. I don't. I love the player. I'm sorry, I love the person. I'm not a fan of the player, but I've never been a fan of the player because I've always felt the same. I think he's a finisher, but he's not a footballer. I think he's someone who when you put it on a plate for him, he does his business. But I think that he's also missed loads. And I think if the guy has already scored 9-10 goals this season, but we remember how many chances he missed. What I want to say is if this system had a guy
when he was unfit, when he was carrying an injury, Sean.
But there was always maybe not. We don't know the truth behind that. Because you know what? There was always there's I know how you know. I know you know. But I also, hang on, let me finish the point. My point is, regardless of that, my point is he wasn't carrying an injury when he was at Watford. He wasn't carrying an injury when he was at Everton, and the player was still the same in my mind. So my point is, you put a player, and I know that I take Aaron's point that we're comparing him to Harry Kane. It's not fair.
Can't compare.
But what I would say is that there are levels, right? For me, as a Premiership footballer, as a striker, Harry Kane was one of the best ever. Richarlison is one of the most expensive ever, but not one of the best ever. And I think there's a middle ground. If you could find someone in between that level, I think if you put that person in the
Ivan Toney's a better striker than him.
You put Ivan Toney in the Tottenham team this season.
Yeah, he's scoring way more goals.
And in every minute that Richarlison was on the pitch, Ivan Toney's on 22 goals already.
How do you replace Harry Kane? How many Harry Kanes are there in world football?
Yeah, but do you know what, Johnny?
Well, I'm not asking. You can't replace Harry Kane, but what you can do,
you can't.
But this system, if Harry Kane was in this system, I'm not even sure if Harry Kane would do as well as someone else could. I'm saying that if there was someone there that didn't have the desire to be involved in every part of the play the whole time, like Harry Kane does, who commands and demands that everything goes through him. You watch Harry Kane, if you watch Harry Kane for Bayern Munich against Lazio, Harry Kane was playing as a defensive midfielder for 80 minutes against Lazio because he was desperate to get involved. He was commanding and demanding. Everything went through him, and it was a madness. It was a nonsense. For me, you don't need that level of player in this system. You need a better finisher than Richarlison, but you need an out-and-out 9 who can take the majority of the chances.
I wish Jermaine Defoe was still playing.
But you're not.
I'll say, Danny, if you had Ivan Toney playing in every minute that Richarlison has been in this season,
Ivan Toney goals in Richarlison. Yeah, definitely. 1,000,000%.
It depends if he's unfit. I got to tell you, Danny, right? I told you all, right? He's complained about carrying this injury, and it was only at the Chelsea game when it finally broke down. He's saying since the start of the season. Look at judging from them. I would say, though, Richarlison is not just about his goals. Unfortunately, you know, that is one fragment of his game. He's closing down, he's hassling, the ability to drag defenders with him and create space for others. You know, that is a part of his game. I totally agree.
It is. But Johnny, do you know what, right? Like, I think if you're a logical, like a realistic fan who looks at like what's actually happening in front of you, you can see Richarlison has definitely improved lately in his all-round game. His touch, right? His touch, his pressing, his ability to score. He's obviously scored 9 goals in 9 games or 10 games or something like that. So he's obviously doing a lot better. His confidence is a bit better.
Can't take that away from him.
You can't. Absolutely not, right?
He's been brilliant, but
he has
got a better player in his shoes.
This is the point, Sean. I've been thinking this, right? If that was Son in that position in the games that Richarlison has had those chances where he's missed really good opportunities, I reckon someone of a higher caliber of striker who's more composed in front of goal, someone like an Ivan Toney, someone like a Son. If that was Son, he would have put away more of those chances. And I reckon he'd be on a higher output than Richarlison is on right now. And this is why I say, I do believe this we're not scoring as many goals as I think we can score. And I think when that change happens, when Son goes back up front, I think we're going to see Tottenham playing a better football than what we've close
and what
to seeing
happens
what we
when
were.
you go, but you know, Danny, right? He can't play the bruising teams. He can't play the low block. Low block. He struggles with the low block. He does struggle with the low block, and he was bullied against Sheffield United and some of these other teams.
Do you know what, Johnny? Do you know what? The problem we have with Richarlison is he's a confidence player, right? So if you use him as a rotational player, I think that's when you lose. Someone like Richarlison loses his confidence. He has to play. And that's the problem with him, right? Because I don't know if he's good enough for the squad, right? Because if Son is playing as the main striker,
it's like a Matt Letizia, he has to be the biggest fish, or at least he has to be.
Well, he's not even the biggest fish, Sean. Yeah, he has to play all the time because that's what drives him, right? And someone like Richarlison, we've seen it, right? If he's not playing and not doing well, he's sulking. He feels sorry for himself. He's got issues he needs to sort out. And this is the problem where I feel that I'm not sure if Richarlison is good enough to be a squad player. Because if Son listen, hear me out.
I agree.
Hear me out.
He's good enough to be a squad player. If it wasn't for
Danny, can I just ask?
He's a confidence player.
So what, Johnny? Let me just finish the point, right? What I'm saying is,
guys, you have to pay attention here because I've never in my life heard Danny be actually on point as much as he has been in this show. He's usually delusional and weird. Right? So pay attention, guys, because this is the only time you're ever going to hear Danny make sense. Go on, Danny. Finish your point,
Danny.
Wait, before you do, Johnny, let me just finish the point, right? So what I'm saying is, what I've seen of Richarlison is that he's doing well right now because he's playing every game, right? So he's getting more chances, he's got more confidence, he's scoring. Now, if Son becomes the main number 9 and he goes back to being that rotational player, he loses the confidence, right? He then starts doubting himself, and then the ability in front of goal becomes worse. He then becomes the player that we saw last season, right? Where he's not confident in himself, he's missing easy chances even more so than he is now. And I think that's the problem with Richarlison. I don't know whether he's got, like, I'll give you an example, right? Werner, right, as a winger, I think he's the perfect player for a squad rotational player because I think someone like him is happy to be a rotational player. But someone like Richarlison, he's just not happy if he is that rotational player. If he's not playing as the main man, as the striker, right, his performances will go like that. And that's the problem because I think we've got someone in the squad in Son who's better up front than Richarlison is. And that's the problem. That's where Ange has to see what he wants to do.
Right. Well, let me just counter that, right? Am I going to disagree with you as to Richarlison's form after the World Cup? Absolutely not. It's been shambolic, right?
Yeah, it was. But I'm saying
right, let me finish. It's been shambolic.
You got to let him finish.
Okay?
Yeah, let you finish.
I'll let you land, bro.
No, it's going. It's been shambolic, right? But he's been carrying that injury since the World Cup. He went off injured in the World Cup. in that quarter-final, right, after scoring 2 unbelievable goals, right? Go and look back on them. Not the first goal.
They weren't
the
as
assist-
unbelievable
not-
as people said they were.
They were
not
good.
the
They
first
were
goal.
good
That
goals.
one,
They were
one
not the
goal.
first
world
goal,
class.
not
People were
the
making
scissor
out
goal.
it was like one of the world's best ever World Cup goals.
I'm-
He was
I'm-
it was unaffected. He
Hang on,
did it. It was
hang
like a
on.
training ground goal for
Right,
Mark.
hang
I'm
on.
honest.
I'm not talking
It
about
was
the
a good
first
goal,
goal. I'm not talking about the first goal. I'm talking about the second one. Not the one he won the
The
wall
build-up
for.
play. The build-up play.
The one with
yeah.
his juggling. My
Yeah.
point here is he came back from that World Cup and he was injured and he played through that injury and he's gone on and on and on about the injury. Plus he had all the off-field stuff that was going on, which I'm not going into, right? And that has been going on and on and on. It's not an excuse because he was poor. His body language was poor. He never closed down. He was shocking, absolutely shocking. He's told Ange that he's carrying this injury. Ange not interested, right? Got to suck it up, mate. We've all got injuries. We've all got problems. Just get on with it. He's had that operation. The Richarlison you've seen since that operation bears absolutely no resemblance to the one that has been playing. And
I agree with that. I agree.
I would agree with you. If the Richarlison was still the Richarlison, then you got to get rid of him, right? You would have to get rid of him. But for me, the
Johnny, would you sell
Richarlison-
him in the summer if someone came in and offered you the money back, 60 million quid?
Right, so I'm going to tell you, this thing, get rid of Richarlison, right? You're all delusional. What are you going to do? You're going to get rid of him and you're going to replace him with one striker. We need.
Yeah, but you got 60 million more notes to go and fix it.
You don't need one striker. You need 2.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
I
agree
know.
that,
That's what I'm saying. But my point is, like, you've got whatever you got.
Right.
So you got 50 million quid to go and buy insert striker here now. Plus you've got
Don't get Ivan Toney.
Richarlison. Plus you got Sonny. Plus you might have Werner for 15. Plus you still got Decky. You still got Johnson. You still got Brian Hill potentially.
You
still
can't
got all
have
these
one
players. I'm
striker.
saying if you could sell,
you can't.
if someone came in and said, if Saudi Arabia came in and said,
Well, they might. They will.
60 million quid, I'll buy you out. I'll give you back the money that you spent on him.
I'm taking it.
If I'm Daniel Levy, if I am
Taking it.
Ange Postecoglou, if I am anybody at Tottenham Hotspur, I am literally I am
Right.
biting
Okay. So
your hands off.
so Dan. So listen. So so you've taken the 60 million. You got rid of the shit. Doesn't matter if he scored 20 goals. He's absolute toilet, right? You think? Tell me what you're going to
Johnny.
buy. Tell
Johnny.
me what you're going to
Johnny.
buy. What are you going to buy with 50
Johnny,
million?
is it your mother-in-law?
Johnny,
What's
I
going
will-
on? What's going
I will
on here,
tell-
man?
I will
You're
tell
so
you-
loyal. You're so
Johnny.
loyal.
What are you
to
buying?
Richarlison.
No.
Johnny.
Listen, you need to add to him. He's not enough. He's
No,
not
Johnny,
enough.
Johnny.
You've now got 120 million quid. You can now go and get 2 strikers.
Johnny,
that
I'm
can fit the
going to
mold.
be honest with you, right? I've said this.
What
from the
can you
start
get for
of the
120?
Look, Johnny, let me
A
say
lot.
this, right?
Martinez.
A lot.
If
Two?
Richarlison, right, and I've said this from the beginning of the season, if Richarlison gets between 15 and 20 goal and assist contributions, right, that is more than what Eriksen has given us in a singular season, right? Nearly more than what Eriksen has given us. So
Eriksen?
in a single season, right?
Yeah.
So if
We're
you
comparing a central midfielder to a
No.
striker
But
now.
what I'm saying is, Sean, what I'm saying is you have to, if we're looking at goal and assist contributions altogether, right? So if Richarlison gives
What's
you
Richarlison's G8? Richarlison's got 9 goals in 9,
right,
yeah?
right, let me tell you this. If he doubles that,
Johnson's got
10
9.
goals.
I know, Sean.
14.
Let me ask you this question, right? If
We spent the
Richarlison
first 45 minutes of this show slagging off Brennan Johnson.
No, I know, but Sean, let me hear me out, right? Hear me out.
Let me land.
No, I'm never gonna say that. If Richarlison doubles his goal and assist contributions and he gets, just say hypothetically, end of the season, he's got 18 goal and assist contributions, right? For me, I would keep him because I don't think you can buy someone at that same price nowadays.
Yes, you can.
Pretty much.
Yes, you
That's
can.
my
Yes,
point.
you can. Yes, you absolutely
Okay,
can.
who would
So
you buy?
I give you 15
Who?
reasons and 15 names of who you can and what you should do with it, and I'm happy to.
Okay.
I just want to. I want to give Aaron hasn't said a word
Aaron.
for a long time. Aaron,
Can
come
I
in,
just
come,
give
chime
that- can I
in
just
here,
give
mate.
that
I'm
stat,
listening, but I'll be
right?
back in a second.
Can
No,
I
no,
just
it's all
give
good,
that
it's all
stat,
good.
Aaron, before you go,
Yeah.
right? So Richarlison scored 10 goals for an XG of 7.7, which is an overperformance of 2.3. In his last 8 performances, his 9 goals have come from an XG of just 4.64, an overperformance of 4.36. And against Everton, the XG for his second goal was 0.04, suggesting only 4% chance of the average APL player scoring it. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying he's the answer. What I'm saying is, let's see how he continues to the end of the season. If we had the old Richarlison, he's got to go. If
Just
this
Johnny,
is the
Richarlison, okay, listen, I'm going to play with this. This should be a devil's advocate show for what it's worth. Tuesday at lunchtime. But my point, here's what I want to say. You just called out 3 stats there. They all support the same narrative. Like, one wouldn't happen without the other. You said that one of them he scored 8 in the last 5, and he's got a 4.46 overbite on XG. But that is massively compounded by the fact that one goal we scored against whoever it was, Brentford, that when he got the 0.04. If that 0.04 goal doesn't go in, the other 2 stats that you use to support the narrative are not anywhere near as relevant. So you've called out.
These are all athletics.
The final piece of that stat jigsaw that you were putting out there, the final piece of it, massively influenced the previous 2. He scored a worldie. He scored a worldie, and it has now it's being used in 15 different ways. It's like if I pull a 9, if I go down the pub and I happen to pull a 9 out of 10, I am using that story everywhere I go for the next 6 months. That is what's going on here with the XG ratio.
Blame the Athletic. Blame the Athletic. They were the ones big enough.
All I'm going to say, all I'm going to say about Richarlison is, he's a donkey on form. Yeah, he's a donkey on form. And if 60 million came in for him, I'm taking it. And he's a donkey on form.
And who are you buying? Who are you buying for 50 million?
I can find someone with some stats.
Give me one.
I'm trying to
50 mil. Give me one.
Chan from Wolves. Chan from Wolves. South Korean from Wolves.
Wang from Wolves.
And you think he's going to score 25 goals? 25 goals?
I'd rather go out. I personally would rather go out and be ridiculously brave. If you've already got a budget in line for a striker, and you have Sonny that can play as a 9 or as a left winger, if you were to sell Richarlison, knowing that you've got a Liz coming through, knowing that you've got the other kids, you could go and get someone like a Neto.
I think he will go, by the way.
You could go and get someone like a Neto who can play in the 9 when you want him to. You can play on the left, can play on the right. He's one of these utility players that can do everything that we seem to be mad about. And at the same time, you've also then got enough money. To go after a monster marquee signing. And if you do happen to sell Richarlison for the 60 million that you paid for him, which was back in a bygone era where FFP didn't seem to matter 24 months ago, and now in this summer when FFP is the raging conversation of the day, you actually can go and negotiate, leverage people out into awkward positions, because Tottenham are one of the only teams that have that leveraging power. And you could go to Napoli and say, you know what?
Oh, see, man, give me a break.
Do you know what?
Give me a break.
What?
Listen,
Chelsea can't afford him. Chelsea can't afford him. Real Madrid are going for Mbappe. Like, if Tottenham want to be the big deal, at some point we have to start swinging our dick like we are a big deal. We have to. Manchester United, we have to at some point.
What about a club called PSG? Do you think they might be in a market?
Going, look
Sorry,
at
boys,
me.
I'm going to have to jump off. I'm going to have to jump off. Thank you for having me, Sean.
Cheers, Aaron. Love you, my man. Thanks so much.
It's good to see you, Aaron, man.
You too, bruv. You too.
Take care, bud.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, buddy. Honestly, right? In the greatest will in the world, right? If I could have Ivan Toney, I'd take Ivan Toney. There are strikers
Definitely.
that I would take 100%, right? But I think the Spurs 100% need 2 great strikers up front, proper strikers. When you're in Europe, if one gets injured, and then you've got one guy playing in Europe, and I can't see it. You look at Liverpool strike force with, Darwin Núñez and Salah and, Jota and Diaz and Gakpo, they got an array of talent. So have top clubs have an array of strikers.
Johnny, do you think Richarlison will leave in the summer? Because I want to ask you another question, right? Because what I watch from Richarlison is a player who's trying to prove himself to the manager. And when you look at the way he celebrates his goals, it's like he's kind of he still feels reserved in himself, right? Like there's still something. He's not like the
Mate,
you know,
he's
like
shy,
when, you know,
mate.
yeah, I know,
off the
I know,
pitch.
Johnny. I know he is right, but when he was at the beginning of his Tottenham career, whenever he scored a goal, he'd go absolutely mental. If you watch him now, he's a lot more reserved. And if you have to watch Ange's reactions every time something happens with Richarlison, because when they focus the camera on Ange and Richarlison does something, it's like a parent who's disappointed with what their child's providing, right? It's like, oh man, he's just not doing it, kind of thing, right? It's kind of like that. And I feel that Richarlison, he's really trying to prove a point, but there's still something. I've always been of the opinion that when Ange first saw Richarlison, he knew straight away he's not his player. And it just feels like that he's really trying to prove himself to the manager that he is capable of being in his
Would
team.
you prefer that, or would you prefer someone like...
I have to...
I won't mention any names.
I've got to ask you guys a question.
I get you.
I've got to ask a question. Okay, sorry, I've got to do this, but before I do, so I do want to get back to, because I think Johnny raises a big point, right? I think Johnny raises a really big point. Maybe there will be a big bid coming in from Richarlison, and if so, what do you do with the money? Can you really go on a different level? And I think that Tottenham do need to start acting as if you want to be the boys that beat the boys, to be the guy that beat the guy, you have to beat the guy, and eventually you're going to need the team that can beat the guy. So I want to ask a quick question about a story that came out this week. Before I do, excuse me, I haven't called these super chats out, and forgive me. Sinclair, D. Sinclair, big up my man. He says left back up. This is a while back. I'm so sorry. D. Sinclair, left back options 1, Dorgu. I'm not sure.
I thought it was Dorigo.
I don't know. For a minute. I don't know who Dorgu is, but Robertson, 8 Nuri, definitely. 100%.
I haven't heard of Dorgu. Maybe I have, but I'm not familiar. Not sure. But
surprised
Robertson,
about you and your scouting ability, Sean. You haven't heard of Dorgu. Come on, do your job, mate.
Honestly, I'm not sure who he is, to be honest. But I'll take your note, because if you think he's better than Robinson and 8 Nuri, then I'm sure he's good. I'll look into him. Thank you for the super chat. Blaine is in the house. Big up, Blaine. Good to see you, my man. Big up, lads. Van der Ven, left back. Dragosin and QT, centre back. And Royale, right back. Everything else, full strength. But I'd start Biss over Benny. Confident 3-1 victory. I think we agree with
100%.
that. 100%.
Yeah. I don't know if you're going to do predictions, Sean, but
here we are. Yeah.
Okay. So
listen, how much time do you guys have left? I mean, I've got
time. Don't worry.
The cheeky hour turned into cheeky 2 hours.
I know. It's Friday night.
Whenever you guys wanna end, don't worry.
I'll round off as soon as possible. As soon as you guys want to, if you have to.
When Johnny wants to go, when Johnny feels like he needs to sleep.
I think Johnny's got the guy who's got more to do in his life than I have, and Danny's got a night off. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm not going down the pub pulling any 9 out of 10 tonight. But if I did, I'd be using it in a multitude of ways to build up my stat merchant material. You know. And Tom Martin is a member of the channel for 1 month. Big up, Tom. I really appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Listen, guys, this is what I wanted to ask you. Okay. This is getting off the topic a little bit, and I don't mind it. I'm going to use this as a catalyst to get it back to the striker situation. But this week, we were linked with Frankie de Jong.
Oh, that's the funniest thing I heard.
Hear me out. Come on. Hear me out on this, right? It's probably nonsense. Yeah. Apparently, it came out after the fact as it's not true. However, the guy who dropped the bomber, Gerard Romero, I think his name is, or Gerard. Yeah, I think it's Gerard Romero. He's a Barcelona ITK who's got 1.5 million followers, and he only deals with Barcelona content. He's not Calcio Mercato. He's not Fishaces. He's not Team Talk or any of that stuff. This guy, back 2 years ago, when Barcelona were doing a lot of business with regards to João Pedro, all this stuff, he was first to everything that happened. He knew everything that happened. He was the guy who released it. He wasn't 100% accurate, but if it happened, when it happened, he was the first guy to say it happened.
Do you know my opinion, Sean? I'll give you my straight fact answer.
Hang on, I haven't finished the pitch yet.
Go on.
I'm not saying I'm not. But my question isn't really around will it happen. I don't believe it will happen. But my question is that are Tottenham? Is now the time that Tottenham need to look at that? We're in the financial situation we're in, right? We've got the opportunity. Other teams don't. You've got Liverpool that are going through a rebuild. You've got Manchester United that are about to start a rebuild that's going to take 2 or 3 years. They might have a lot of money, but they've got so much to figure out. Manchester City might face all sorts of consequences later on this year, maybe into next year with regards to whatever they've done in the past. Chelsea might face all sorts of FFP. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe it's kicking the can, whatever else. There's never been a better perfect storm of scenarios within terms of opportunity meets reality. And when you hear a story from a guy who, when something happens at Barcelona, he's the guy who drops it, just because it's subsequently been denied doesn't mean it's not true. Even if it's not true, even if he wouldn't come to Tottenham, if there's any truth to it, is it a sign? The longest question I've ever asked in my life, and I ask long questions. Is there a sign here that Tottenham might just be looking at that next level player? If it's not Frankie de Jong, maybe it's someone else. But is it true that Tottenham could be looking at the next level player for the first time in 20 years? Jurgen Klinsmann was the last time, or Van der Vaart. Are we possibly going to see Tottenham eventually this summer maybe sign someone who is monster?
That landing was pretty rough. A bit like Jurgen Klinsmann when he dived right on the ground for that first game. Look, I got to tell you, right,
Come on, Johnny. Let's build me up here. Build me up.
600 grand a week, man.
It's not 600 grand a week. It's not. It's 300 grand a week. The reason why it's 600 is because Barcelona are paying twice because they owe him for 2 years non-payment. He's only on 300 grand a week.
Oh, it's only 300.
Only 300.
Only 300.
My opinion, right, is first and foremost.
It's a little bit more palatable now, isn't it? It's a little bit more palatable when it's half the price.
It's going to last thing, Danny. It's going to 70% of turnover. They're all wanting to change this to 70%. Daniel Levy's going to be there, still holding the.
It's not 70% until the 25-26 season. So it's 90% this year, 80% next year, 70% the year after.
Yeah, which will take us up to about 200 mil, was it? Something like that. Something like that.
So
I can't see. I just can't see. Look, we'd all.
This is what I'm asking. Are we now in conversations with players like Frankie de Jong? Not necessarily Frankie de Jong, but players like him. Are we on? Are Tottenham going to go and get a player that's that level?
That tells you everything, mate.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson and Timo Werner, right?
Yeah.
We're looking for value.
Yeah. There's no way we're signing someone like Frankie de Jong. If we signed, like, it's never happening, but I'm just saying, if we ever signed someone like Frankie de Jong, I would openly come out and say, Daniel Levy has changed and he must be smoking something that I want to smoke.
Yeah.
But at some point, Tottenham need to go and sprinkle in the VAT.
I just don't think they will, Sean.
If they bought
Ivan
Tony,
model.
If they bought Ivan Tony,
all that. Wow. Yeah.
Or Osimhen.
That will prick my ears up.
Who's going to buy
Osimhen's going PSG. That's written in the stars. Like,
he's going PSG, is he?
Yeah,
he's going to replace. He's going to replace Mbappe, isn't he?
Or Leao. They'll probably take Osimhen and Leao.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know, we're not in that game. Chelsea, we're not in that game at the moment. I'm sorry. I'd love it.
Yeah, but at some point we can be. At some point, Tottenham, if Tottenham ever have ambitions to actually move to the next level, you can't always do it by finding this. I understand why we've gone about maneuvering into the youth kind of, model thing. Well, I get it. But at some point, you can't win the league. You can't do what Ajax did in the Premier League, right? The Ajax team, all of the Ajax players of the 2018-19 season, every single one of them moved to bigger leagues and not a single one of them succeeded. Right?
Yeah. Who are you talking about? Like, which players?
Donny de Beek, what his name is? What's his name?
Donny
Van de Beek. So he failed, right?
I don't think it's failed, but like, for example, I always get this, like, I made a comment when Man United signed Anthony, right? And I obviously I haven't watched them as much this season, but before, when they had those players, we were watching Ajax quite a lot, the same as we would watch Tottenham, right? I always said Anthony is a very inconsistent player. He's got very good ability, but he reminds me of the position Memphis Depay was in. Like he was doing very well in the Dutch league, but he still needed another 1 or 2 years in that league to really tear it up like completely. Then go to another club, which will be a lot less level than Man United, and then see how he does. But going from where he was in that period, because Ajax, when he was there, he grew quite a lot, like in a very short space of time, but he still was inconsistent. And you could see that he wasn't the player that if Man United signed him for 100 million, I knew that he wasn't going to do well, because you could see straight away his ability. He wasn't that top level player that if you sign for 100 million, you expect 100 million's worth of value kind of thing. But
how good is Frankie de Jong? I mean, I'm watching Barcelona and I'm seeing a poor Barcelona team. You know,
he's incredible. He's the best passer in world football, in my opinion.
Yeah, but he's a great passer.
I think De Bruyne is. I think De Bruyne is.
Yeah, I think.
And then him
he's not
behind.
dragging them though, is he? You know, he's not dragging them through and making.
I think after De Bruyne, it's him. I don't think there's anyone else in world football.
What about Carlos Kickable? Right. Well, I mean, that's the sort of player Spurs are going to pull out the hat, right? Here we go, unknown starlet, Carlos Kickable.
You can't say the whole point of the conversation wasn't about Frankie de Jong, because I don't think that's going to happen. But my point is, are Tottenham at some point going to step up that next level?
No.
Well, so you don't think so? I disagree.
See, Sean,
I think you are going to see a club record signing this summer.
You actually think so?
20 quid. If you sell Richarlison, yes.
I'll do 20 quid of you.
50 quid.
I'll do 50 quid of you. I'll do
charity. The money goes to charity.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Club record signing this summer.
On stream, we'll do it. 50 quid.
Hang on. If they sell Richarlison, I think it's a given.
No, it's irrelevant.
No,
don't worry about the details, man. Details.
No, let's do it. That's a good. We'll do it for charity, and then whoever wins can choose their charity.
Club record signing. Oh, you know what? If we're doing with charity, I was about to say let's go back to 20 quid, but that sounds really greedy. No, let's stick to 50 quid.
50 quid. No, that's good. Let's do 50 quid. Let's do 50 quid. No, that's it. Everyone's heard it, so we'll do 50 quid.
If Tottenham sign what's it got to be? It's got to be a £60 million signing.
Over
60 plus. Over 60.
It's got to be over 60.
Over 60. Yeah.
Okay. I think Tottenham are going to do it.
I'll be surprised if they do, but if they do,
I would definitely have to bet it's not
Sean. Yeah, definitely not. Sure. I was saying to someone on Twitter earlier today, actually, I was like, if Tottenham sign a player of the caliber of like a Neto or someone like that, it's going to be over 60 million, right? Yeah. For me, that's a step in the right direction for the club, and a step for me that shows that Levy might be starting to change his methodology on signing players, because he's then going for a player that the manager actually wants, but someone who is actually a really like a proven player, let's just say, right? And that's where I would start to shift my opinion on the board and how they're acting with Ange, because we've all seen how they act with the other managers. We've been in the situation with Poch, right, where we were at that point where we needed that 1 or 2 really next level players to really go to the next level. And then what do? We don't sign anyone for 2 years nearly, right? So I don't want to see that again. I want to see us go and get a Neto, go and get a Rafinha or someone like that. If we go and get a caliber of that player, for me, that is showing intent. That's showing ambition. That's showing we're trying to go to that next level because they believe in the manager they have.
How much do you think we'll raise in sales this season? I think it'd be quite a lot. I think we could raise quite a considerable amount of money from the likes of your Rodons, your Regions, Lo Celso.
10 million quid from Rodon, 10 to 15 from Rodon.
Yeah. Højbjerg, 15, 20.
Yeah, he's only got a year left.
Skip.
So 15. I think Ollie Skip. I genuinely don't know. I think Ollie Skip will be a sort of player that would maybe go to a team that's coming up. Who's even coming up this year? Do we know what I haven't looked at the championship.
Well, it's going to be Ipswich,
Leicester, Ipswich,
Leicester and Southampton at the moment. Look, odds on at the moment.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Tottenham go and do some sort of player plus cash swap deal. Ollie Skip goes to Southampton. We take Kyle Walker-Peters. You know, something that's as like unimpressive and uninspiring.
Look, who else can we sell? Gio. Potentially.
1 year left.
I think
Gio Celso will leave us for about 7 million quid.
Something like
Right.
that.
Who else you got?
Sessegnon, do you think he's gonna have a year left on his deal?
Yeah, 8
No
million.
one's going to buy that geezer. Loan at best.
I
No
know. Yeah, loan. It probably
Well,
will
if
be a loan.
Richarlison goes, he won't go for less than what we pay.
Ndombele will run his contract down. Brian Hill might leave.
Do you know what the Sean? Just a bit. Just one quick thing on Ndombele. My barber's is a Turkish-owned barber's, and it's like down the road from me, right? And I go there, and he like obviously there's a language barrier because they speak Dutch and Turkish, and he doesn't. My barber doesn't speak a lot of English. But the funniest thing is, as soon as I said, "Oh, hey, do you know Ndombele?" Because they're Galatasaray fans in there, right? Do you know what the first thing he said to me was?
Let me guess. Deluded.
He goes, Undom McBurger. He goes, Undom McBurger. He goes,
Really?
the Galatasaray fans call him Burger. That's how bad. That's what it's like. They call him Burger. They call him Burger. It's the funniest thing.
Undom nom nom. Yeah, like, listen. Ndombele is not coming.
I forgot about it.
We're never going to sell him. I don't think you're ever going to. I think Brian Hill's going to be another loanee. I think Tottenham are going to have to just bite the bullet on a lot of these.
We might
players.
raise about 60 million in sales, is what I'm saying. Potentially.
Maybe not even that. Maybe not even that. I don't think.
I don't know.
Do you know what? It all depends.
60 million quid in outgoings this year, I'd be like, wow.
You got to remember, right? We've got like players like Joe Rodon still, Brian Hill, Celso, Ndombele, Sessegnon. Who knows if they might? I don't think they'll try flog Davis. Skip could be another one.
I reckon we could get 50 million.
Skip is someone that I reckon someone would pay 10 to 15 million pounds for.
15 million probably.
Yeah,
is comfortable. He's young.
And if we Højbjerg is going to be sold in the summer. He's gone in the summer.
He's again 1 year left in his contract. The problem is we have nobody. We have nobody that we want to. Nobody that we are willing to sell that there's high demand for.
No, of course not. But you have to take the bullet on the players we can get rid of, right, to generate funds. And I think if Tottenham play it smartly, they won't. My belief is they won't. But if they did play it smartly, they should just take the bullet on some of those players, right? Like Sessegnon, just flog him. Try and get rid of him as much as possible. Get him off the books so they can free up space. Get him off the wage bill, and then they can focus on who else they want to get in the
Leeds
squad.
made a mess up. Same mess up as they made with Ben White. They had no purchase fee.
Yeah.
Right. No.
Also, what about yeah, it's true.
Just super quickly, Blaine, mate, absolute generosity of the highest order. Guys, I haven't got it in front of me. I'll you know what? I'm going to put it on I'm going to find it on Twitter. I'm going to retweet it. So if you follow me on Twitter, if you don't follow Blaine, then you'll see it on my Twitter after the show. Blaine's doing a charity drive. This is the most generous guy in the community, as far as I'm concerned.
Doing a cycle, isn't he? The virtual cycle.
Yeah, he's doing a cycle from Belfast to Dublin and back. Is it? I think a virtual cycle and it's for Macmillan Cancer. Blaine, you're an absolute superstar. Whoever the 5 lucky recipients of the memberships are, please make sure you say thank you. Also, take a look at my Twitter profile after the show. If you are willing to support Blaine on his sacrifices cycle thing, it's really important. It's a brilliant cause. Appreciate you, Blaine, mate. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for your ongoing support of the channel. Jory, member for 1 month. Big up, Jory. Have you okay, my man?
Jory.
Jory's saying over 50 million for sure, over 60 million maybe, over 70 million never. I think that's regarding Tottenham's transfer.
I could agree with that. I would agree with that.
I think
we're going to break our record this summer. I really do. And AU's has come back in saying Ndombele gives me Adebayor vibes, talent, but
I wish he did give us Adebayor. At least Adebayor could score goals and run.
Yeah. When he wanted to, though, Johnny.
Yeah.
When he wanted to.
Back in the day.
He had what? He had like one good season with us, right? One really good season with us, and then the rest was like when he turned up, when he felt like it, right?
Listen, look, we got players who are fighting now, and like what you were saying before, Richie might be short of things, but I wish everyone had as much fight and determination on that pitch.
I hope it continues with him. I really do.
What I'm saying is, I want to see that. People giving their all. I see that in Porro. I see that in Romero. I see that in Vicario. I see that in Mickey van der Ven.
Yeah.
There are certain players I see them giving every single thing. Possibly.
I think Udogie does as well, but he's young,
Udogie
so he
as
makes
well.
mistakes.
But when I see Johnson trotting back, that annoys me.
no.
I can't help it.
Yeah, but after just coming on a pitch and he's just jogging around like he's been there for the whole game.
Ivan Toney, seriously though, 1 year left on his contract. What does he go for?
I'd try all we could. If we solve Richarlison, that is who I want to try and get.
It still wouldn't be enough though, Sean, guys, because if he got injured, we'd be in America. Oh, we need two strikers, whoever they are.
I think if you I'm gonna switch this up for the last 10 minutes. I'm gonna put myself bottom shelf. I think
shelf side Spurs,
shelf side, yeah.
I think
we're part lane.
Tottenham.
Tottenham.
Ivan Toney 1 year left on his contract. I think Ivan Toney is going to go for 65 million quid.
Yeah. I think so. No, I think so.
I think there might be an auction. If it went for 65, Arsenal would be steaming in there. That would be
100%.
Arsenal need to sell.
I do think that he's going to go to Arsenal. I do think that they're going to sign him.
He wants to go to Arsenal.
Yeah, he's twerking for them, isn't he?
He's twerking.
Yeah.
He's twerking. All I can hope for, if he does go to Arsenal, he's caught having a bet on 1-1. And he's banned.
Oh.
He's banned. I'm grinding to a halt now.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has joined us this evening. It's only supposed to be a cheeky hour.
The cheeky hour.
2.5. I want to ask you guys to please subscribe. I've only got. Sorry, Danny. I've only got. I can get it in a second. Here you go.
No,
I've only
don't worry.
got Johnny's Twitter here. Please. Where
is it?
Is it all coming up? Hang on a second. There it comes through now.
When you back,
guys, if you click on this link, you'll be able to get to Johnny.
When you back in London, Dan?
So I actually was going to come for the Wolves game, but I didn't in the end. I'm looking at not Luton, maybe the next game after that. I'm so hopefully in April, I think, is probably the next time. Because we've got a couple of things planned.
Yeah, we definitely have to hook up. Listen, I'm hoping.
No, when I'm back in London, I'll give you a call.
Listen, I'm looking forward to. I'd love Luton to stay up just so I can go back to that ground again. I love that day out. What a great day out that was, Sean?
Luton was fantastic. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of Luton. I've fallen in love with them. You're never supposed to fall in love with a lone player.
Underdog, though, isn't it?
Never supposed to fall in love with a team that's going to get relegated.
But they were given absolutely no chance. And I think Rob Edwards has done a remarkable job there.
He really has done well with them.
He really has. Good luck to Ross Barkley and some of the other players that are really contributing.
I think Ross Barkley has definitely changed the way that
they've played really well as well. He's been and the boy up front, Adebayo
or something.
Adebayo is amazing. I'd actually take Adebayo at Tottenham, by the way, as that second guy. You're talking about two.
Why not?
I would. I probably based on the form.
You sell Richarlison. You've got 120 million, 130 million. You go and get an Osimhen and an Adebayo.
Yeah, that'd be the dream.
That's your two strikers.
Osimhen in this system, 30 goals plus.
Make it happen, Daniel Levy. Listen, guys, you'll see if you are going to the game tomorrow. Keep a lookout for me and Johnny. We'll be there. I'll be there early. I'll be there from about lunchtime, like midday.
What time's kickoff again tomorrow?
3
o'clock.
I'll be there at 1, probably 1 o'clock. I'll get there.
Lots of things to discuss. I'll be out. I've got about 15 questions. I'm going to be walking around interviewing people for content.
Make sure everyone who's going to the game goes and sees Sean as well, so he can give you an interview.
Get yourself on the content on the content cam after the game for the post match, but before the game for a variety of questions. Johnny, I'll see you there. Danny, great to have you back on. Guys, want to say massive thank you to everyone in the chat. Love and best wishes to everybody tonight. Have a wonderful weekend. Like, subscribe, and comment. Get over to Johnny. I've put the links up. Johnny, it's all in the description, and Danny and Killer Aaron, all down there in the description. Like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks, everyone. Take care. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bet 365 Tony.